It's time to get activated, gamers, because you're listening to the GigaBoots Game of the Year 2023, featuring Dan and Bob video games.
If you have any problems with any of our lists, yell at Bob.
Oh no.
Kris Wolfhart.
Guaranteed to outlast AAA gaming.
And Dr. Aggro.
Sure glad I spent this whole year knowing I'd be on this podcast.
This episode features outrageous categories such as... So grab your Nuggies and Mountain Dew, gamers, sit back in your race car chair and get ready, because the GigaBoots Game of the Year 2023 Podstravaganza starts right now!
Yippee!
Hey, we finally made it. Welcome to the finale. It's time for our top 10s, our soundtracks of the year, and the final GigaBoots Podstravaganza 2023 Game of the Year ceremony. Top 10 games of the year, which is a list of 1 winner and 9 losers.
I may need to rejigger my list here.
Yeah, I didn't realize we were operating on the alcoholic father scale. Second place is just the first loser.
For some reason, when you said alcoholic father scale, I was like, my brain had already put the word power next to scale, and I'm like, it's like drunk Piccolo. He just looks like shit. Anyways, that's right. We're here to bring our top 10 games and our soundtracks of the year. We're very excited to talk about all this stuff. We got the whole crew. We've got Bob.
I'm so excited.
We've got Kris.
Hey.
And we've got Dr. Aggro.
The year's over. Why isn't the year over?
Maybe now at the end of this month, it will finally actually be over. This is the ceremony we use to wish away the prior year. I guess we're starting it. This is it. We got to start with someone's list. So we're starting with Bob's.
All right. Sure.
Bob, what are your top 10 games?
Oh, do you want to do that, or do you want to do soundtrack first?
That's up to you.
Okay.
I don't think anyone's going to be like, shut up about music. So, you can put that first. That's
Sure.
fine.
Yeah, let's lead with that. My soundtrack of the year is Octopath Traveler 2.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there's lots of great JRPG music in here. Basically, every character has a really good theme song that they like playing at the end of each chapter. And yeah, I was always impressed by the battle themes and basically all the music they had. So that's going to be my soundtrack of the year.
I always knew you were smart and handsome, Bob, video games.
Why, thank you. And now I guess I'd move on to my full Game of the Year list. But first, the honorable mentions.
Yes, that's important. Also, your apologies, because, in years past, we've had segments of like, I would like to formally apologize to blank.
That's true.
I don't know if you have any. I have some.
I feel like I wanted to play more Silent Hope.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. And I feel like there's 2 other games that I was like, I should have played more. I guess there's Fate Samurai Remnant, which wasn't going to make my list in any case, but I would have liked to have played that more and figured out if it would be an honorable mention. And there's probably another one I'm forgetting about, but this year has been kind of crazy, so I don't know.
Didn't even notice. Seems so normal. This absolutely insanely stacked year of video games.
Right. But my honorable mentions. First one's Spider-Man 2.
Yeah. It's a rough year.
Yeah.
Rough year, Spider-Man. I'm sorry.
In other years, this would absolutely have placed in my top 10. This is a really fun Spider-Man game because of the improvement on the first one in every way.
Yeah, you're like the biggest Spider-Man fan I know, possibly. So, Bob, what was it that didn't make it quite land? Where does it fall short a little bit?
It is a little bit too similar to the first game. We don't see it, but we don't see a new city. The combat's basically unchanged. We had some cool new stuff with the black soup, but I don't care that much about that.
Yeah, this is, I'll spoil mine a bit. It is also in my runner-ups. And that is exactly how I felt about it, too. It was weird. I didn't expect it either, because I really enjoyed Miles Morales. I really enjoyed Spider-Man 1. Just something about it. The moment I finished it, I was like, it's an experience that if this year didn't have it, it wouldn't have lost anything.
Yeah.
It's the same for me. It's right there on the list. It's weighed down by being in this baller year and being an upgrade of a great game we already played.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's also in my runners-up for pretty much the same reason. It's like I liked it. Okay, it feels borderline fungible.
Yeah, that was the word I was trying to avoid using because it sounds so cruel.
Yeah, because it's like
It's so true, though.
After having God of War Ragnarok last year, like that was basically a better version of 2018, but it was way better. Like it was hugely improved.
Yeah.
So much, they spent so much money. It's like, well, most of it went to the city sim stuff that I never looked at a single time. Why would I be down there?
Yeah.
So you can hear funny stand-up routines.
Right.
Oh, great.
This is what you want, right?
Western games don't grab my arm and look me dead in the eyes and go, "We're being funny. Enough."
That aspect is honestly, seriously, one of the things that knocked it off my list in early deliberation. That it was just the fact that they spent so much goddamn money on the wrong stuff was so disgusting that it left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, and like Bob was saying, it's a stunning year of video games.
Mm-hmm.
It is completely reasonable for the third Spider-Man game made in a specific mold to not really make a top 10 in such a strong year.
All right, I guess my next honorable mention, Endless Monday. This is a really fun little visual novel, which I love the character designs and art behind it, and I think the story is fun, but it's not enough to make it into the top 10.
Yeah, it's a really great experience, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like, given that it's coming in at that lower price and it's that lighter experience.
Right. It's
highly recommended, as it turns out.
It's absolutely totally worth the, like, $12 or whatever it costs. And I will definitely buy another one if they ever make another one.
Yeah, the moment that dev puts out another game, it's instant.
My next honorable mention, Octopath 2.
Oh?
I like this a lot, but it doesn't have quite the structure I want from a JRPG.
That's also kind of how I feel. Yeah, like I really understand. It's very different,
right? Like it's in that more Saga Frontier oriented thing where every character is segregated into their own story, and it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all.
No.
But it's just not quite up there for me.
Yeah, no, like the 50-hour playtime I got in the past calendar week proves that it is certainly not bad.
Right?
But that's such a big part of the game that if you're not into that, oops.
Right? I put 100 hours into this game, so it's not like
you hated it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, I think they do some really cool stuff. Like I said, it's my favorite soundtrack of the year. Always had great music going. I think some of the stories that are in here evolve and become really good by the end of them. I just didn't like the structure much. And now I guess I can move on to my actual top 10s.
Oh, wow. You only have that many runner-ups. That's, wow.
Look,
I felt ridiculous managing my list. Anyways, go ahead.
Look, yeah.
I'm going to look like a clown is what I'm saying.
I guess.
I'm going to basically be the God of War speech guy at the fucking Game Awards 2022.
All right. Number 10, Sea of Stars.
Ooh.
I actually liked this game a lot. I enjoyed the combat quite a bit, and the music is pretty good. My only thing is it completely fumbled the ending. That's why it's down here at number 10.
Oh.
It would totally go up way higher if it didn't just fumble the final dungeon and ending to the game. Because I think I've talked about it before. It kind of just leads into, hey, more stuff in our universe. It's like, no, I don't care. You should have wrapped it up. You introduced a final villain. I want to beat him.
Oh, no, they did that. That's the fucking worst thing you can do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's so low on here. Because I really enjoyed the combat. I liked the art. I think that the dungeon design was incredible and the movement options were really great. But you can't just fumble that.
It's fine to do this isn't the entire thing, but people need to know, like, from the get.
Mm-hmm. Whereas this kind of was pitched almost as, this is going to be it. And this is like, I think it ended up being 40, 50 hours or something. This is a long RPG. So to get to the end of it and not feel satisfied is not great. My number 9, Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
A lot of stars.
Yes. This is like a fun Metroidvania style 3D action game where you get new powers and new abilities and can go into new environments and find new stuff all the time. I had a lot of fun with this. It definitely has a lot of glitches. It still, even today, has glitches.
It just blew my mind that the fidelity mode had more visual glitches than the performance mode. I'm like, why am I playing in the fidelity mode if it looks bad?
Yeah. But yeah, you'll go into your spaceship and travel to a new planet, and then everyone in your spaceship will be T-posing until.
I love that.
Like, how is this still the problem? We're 8 months out or something.
I love when they jump into hyperspace and then you see the pilot T-pose in his chair.
Yeah,
That even happened in the first game to me.
and that still is an issue here.
Clearly, that's just the corporate culture they have.
But I actually did enjoy the story, and I think that the movement and stuff all was really fun. The combat never really hit that hard, but at least it was serviceable, and I got to chop off Stormtrooper's arms, so, you know.
That is pretty sick.
And Wampa's arms.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, they have a lot of Wampa likes they'll grab you, and then you lop their arm off, and they're like, now they're angry, though.
Yeah, sure, they have one less limb, but they're really, really pissed now.
But yeah, they're just really cool world to explore. Number 8, Armored Core 6.
Ooh.
This would be a full 2 slots higher if the ice worm wasn't in the game.
Holy crap!
Yeah, they sure. In fact, I'm pretty sure in my entry, I'm like, why'd you make me fight him 3 times?
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that's in our force feedback video where Kris is like, why'd you do it?
Right?
Why'd you do it?
Like, nobody else you fight on all 3 routes that isn't even really a boss. It is more just a cutscene you watch that you can die during.
Right? It's like twice as long as it should be, at least.
Yeah. But it's a pretty great game, you would say?
Oh, yeah, it's a great game. You get to customize your mech. It looks really nice. I get to fight a giant robot around and blow stuff up. What more do you want?
One of the things I'm excited for, I could name one thing I could want. A proper locked 60 frames per second on PS5 or a 120 frames per second mode on PS5, because on PC it's fully uncapped.
Yeah. Also, good soundtrack. Really hurts that the soundtrack is just sort of there.
Yeah, if this was just Kota Hoshino back at his full might of the Armored Core Nexus days, I'd be like, I don't understand, guys. Your number one's missing some mechs. You got to make this game go higher.
Yeah, no, if it had that soundtrack and everything else, like, I think that the structure of the game is good. Other than the Ice Worm, like, it has just enough justification to get you to play these missions again, and they change enough little things to be like, oh, this is kind of interesting. But I do wish that the parts were better and stuff like that. That's why it's only landing at 8. Number 7, Rusted Moss. This is the most open-ended Metroidvania I've ever played. I could go literally anywhere in it at any point, it felt like. And it was all just a skill barrier using this grapple hook. And they eventually upgrade it so it feels even better to move around using it, but without any upgrades, you can get almost anywhere, which is insane.
Yeah, that's sick. I always like it when you have a basic ability that can actually get you much further than is easy to get to.
Yeah, it's just all skill ceiling, trying to figure out what to do with this rope. Also, you get to play. It's basically a Momodora game, but you have a gun.
Is this an armchair devs pitch?
Right? For anyone who's interested in trying it, I would just wait like a month. They're getting out a huge update that's going to be on the PC version, and it's getting ported to consoles. Where they add new characters that's playable and new animations for the guns. Like, apparently they'll have reload animations that are bespoke, and you get to see the shells fall out and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, that sounds sick. But yeah, that game's really cool. I think I looked at my playtime. It said like 10 hours or so.
It's pretty sizable.
Yeah, it's also one of the biggest Metroidvania maps I've ever seen. Like, it's ludicrously large. And there's one section of it that's like, yeah, no, you're chased by a giant monster here. He will kill you. And you cannot hurt him. And that's just a thing you have to deal with for that whole segment. And it feels like legitimately scary. Yeah. Number 6, Pseudo Regalia.
I've heard of that game.
Yes. The one with our character design award-winning character, Sybil.
It's ours? This is ours now?
our award for it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You made this? I bought this. This is a great time. It's only like $8 or something.
And that's true. This game's real cheap. It's basically a Metroidvania in 3D, but you have Mario 64 style, like ludicrous levels of platforming, and you get more and more powers as you go. Nothing feels quite like it. Like you have a totally different take on a wall jump, a totally different way to do a high jump where you do like a ground pound, then you bounce up from it. And at the top of that, you can do a backflip off of it to get places. Playing it feels like unlike anything I'm used to. And I can always appreciate that. Like when you make a good movement system, you've already got like me interested. All right, I guess I'm done to my top 5.
Yeah, you gotta tell us what is the cream of the crop.
Alan Wake 2.
Alan Wake.
This game, it doesn't play well. It basically plays like a Resident Evil 3, but not as good. Like Resident Evil 3
Yeah,
remake, but
that's actually real. That's actually real astute. That's almost exactly what it's like.
But it doesn't matter because the story and just the events of the game are so insane that it makes it worth it. It really is, like I said before, like a Kojima game. Finally, again, after so long since Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, not much else to say other than, man, if you haven't played Alan Wake 2, go play Alan Wake 2.
Go
What are you doing?
Come on, man. I hear Epic will sell it to you for $2.
Give him another month. God. Number 4, Street Fighter 6. Yo, this is an incredible fighting game.
They made a 6th one?
Yeah, right? It's honestly like it might be one of my favorite fighting games ever. It's ludicrous.
Oh, wow.
Like I keep doing online matches. The online almost always feels good. It's like 1 in 10 that I find a guy on Wi-Fi who I don't connect well with. The single player modes aren't great. I think there's some really cool cutscenes they made for them, but otherwise it's a bunch of grinding and wandering around an open world that's kind of empty. So I don't recommend that. But if you just jump online, you can have a really good time. Plus the new characters is a lot of fun. Like I'm learning Manon's been pretty cool. She's a grappler, but with some weird stuff going on with that metal system and having more traditional moves too. Like she has jump forward kicks and stuff like that to make her seem more like a more Shotokan style character. But then she also has those grabs that are interesting.
See, this is interesting to see this high on your list because as people probably are aware, you were not hot on Street Fighter 5.
No.
Like I don't...
Or 4.
Was anybody?
Some people were hot on 5, but Bob wasn't hot on 5 or 4. 4, I ended up liking more than 5 by the end of 4. But that doesn't... Yeah, it's nice. I feel like Street Fighter 6 is finally where we got another thing to be proud of, right?
Right. Yeah, once Street Fighter 6 gets a more full roster, then I'm like, yeah, no, that'll just be one of the best fighting games ever. Like, it's kind of crazy that it's just such a solid base. Number 3, Disgaea 7.
Ooh.
Look, guys, it's been too long.
There's a theme to the top here.
Yes, it's been so long since I had a good Disgaea game. I didn't enjoy one since 4, really.
Yeah, that's a ways back.
Yeah.
It's been a little while.
So it's really nice to see this just in full force and just embracing being this weird faux Japanese setting where they have stuff like sushi instead of sushi. Yeah, and every character is a ton of fun. Like I don't dislike any of the main cast, which is very rare for these. Suisen's not great, but it works.
Hey. Yasu's right there.
Yeah, but his whole thing is sucking, which is very funny.
Which is hilarious. He can do that for you, Aggro.
Yeah, I'm really I had to just stop myself numerous times leading up to Game of the Year. Like you can't just go grind the dungeons. You need to play the game. You need to finish the story. It was like, no, I want to do the item world. I want to
be strong. I want to be strong.
I want to get every single move. All right, number 2, Resident Evil 4.
Whoa, that good, huh?
No way.
But Resident Evil 4 is a good game. Who knew?
I didn't have 20 fucking years to figure that out.
Man, yeah, it's also another one that's been so long since we had What If the Resident Evil formula where you shoot a guy in the face and then kick him in the face was back. It's been since Resident Evil 6.
Yeah, so 11, 12 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deranged to make me wait this long.
Yeah.
Mercenaries mode isn't as good as I hoped, but it's still a lot of fun, and I will keep playing it. Nothing will stop me from doing that. And yeah, it's not the same game as 4. Like, there are definitely big changes and whatnot, but it's still really good. All right, I guess I gotta get to my game of the year.
It's okay. We all know it's Pikmin 4.
You gotta, you called it, man.
Sorry to spoil that for everyone.
It's Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
What? Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Play the do sound effect as we transition Bob into the cargo shorts in the Zelda shirt.
Oh no, not again.
So Bob, the Zelda game, Tears of the Kingdom, was it? Tell me all about it.
You know, they use the same world as Breath of the Wild, but to make it like way better this time.
Whoa.
What if every 12 feet or so there's a cave you go in and find something you never expected?
That sounds pretty cool.
What if you go into the sky temples and they're just random puzzles where you have to shove or launch a box into a small hole in the sky?
That would be really fucking sick.
Yeah, God, just so many weird little things you can find and so many tools they give you. It's just like, yeah, build a boat. You'll need a plane for this. We're not going to tell you how.
And I'm like, good, because I'm going to try the dumbest thing imaginable first and then laugh at how sucky I am.
Right?
Quick question. How many logs stuck end to end can your engine handle?
We will find the exact number. God, and then every random temple is now like a bizarre puzzle like that, where you just look at it and like, I know what you want me to do,
Right.
but what can I do instead?
It was really funny. I believe I had an experience for 20 plus hours. I was solving a certain type of puzzle a certain way, and you're like, you could just elevate it using this thing, right? And I'm like, yeah, of course why would anyone ever make this horrible contraption of wheels I made to slightly lift a platform?
God, and then just the odd functionality from stuff you get, like the ascend feature, where it's just like you would look at levels in completely different ways when it's like, okay, if there's a flat surface above me, I can fly through it. Like, that makes you think about a lot of things differently.
Mm-hmm.
What an interesting game. It just constantly found something that made me think, wow, you did this? In Backpack Koroks, they're so good. They need help. They just want to find their friend.
They're just trying to find a friend.
If they sink in the swamp, that's not your fault. Maybe it's a little your fault.
Yeah, I think that's probably my fault, given how it went for me. Yeah, actually.
Look, the rocket sled was supposed to take him across the water, not into the water. I didn't know.
I thought I would just take him to his friend, and it put him into that wheat thresher. I don't know what happened.
Turns out the road to Korok hell is paved with good intentions.
I mean, I guess if they all are sent to hell, they technically find their friend.
It's a system that works.
That's it. That's my top 10.
Okay, go ahead and run through it again from the bottom to the top.
All right. Number 10, Sea of Stars. Number 9, Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Number 8, Armored Core 6. Number 7, Rusted Moss. Number 6, Pseudo Regalia. Number 5, Alan Wake 2. Number 4, Street Fighter 6. Number 3, Disgaea 7. Number 2, Resident Evil 4. And number 1, Legends of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Okay. Next, we're going to go to Kris.
I guess I'll start with my soundtrack of the year. My soundtrack of the year is The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie.
Ooh.
Those games always have great soundtracks.
That makes sense. It's Falcom.
This one also has a great soundtrack that's like 90 songs long. Every single one is really catchy. There's a lot I still remember and think about. There's great ones that are lay motifs of games from 20 years ago. It's just a really great soundtrack. Now I have to decapitate people who didn't make it into the real list. Pseudo Regalia presents a better future where we make games with sane scopes and fidelity, and they are still look great because they're in 4K, and they're still great because games don't have to be gigantic, monstrous beasts with millions of dollars of life sim in them to be good.
Mm-hmm.
You can even make them quicker with fewer people.
Whoa.
What a thought.
Is that legal?
Not if EA has their way. Endless Mondays. I really enjoyed Endless Monday. If there wasn't so many things this year, it could have placed.
Yeah.
Easily.
There was a lot of charming little games that could have made it up there if this wasn't the most stacked year we've been doing this.
Yeah, this is nightmarish. There have been years I didn't bring 10 games in because I didn't think 10 deserved it. This year, I'm crying.
Yeah.
Spider-Man 2, sorry, you don't make the cut. If you didn't come out at all, my life would be exactly the same.
Oh, that's so cruel.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't bring a single new thing to the table in any regard.
It brought riding a bicycle as Peter Parker. I don't think that's enough.
That was like, and a lot of that stuff is like, yeah, you Insomniac knows to crib from the good comics, so it hits more than other Spider-Man things will hit. But it's like, you didn't bring anything, and in the areas where you could have been more interesting, like the Miles and Peter stuff with Peter's martyr complex, they don't go into enough, I don't feel like. So sorry, Octopath 2, because I didn't beat it. It might have made it onto the list if I had successfully completed it before this podcast.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And 30XX, or 30XDX as the legal name is called. That game feels incredible. It runs at like 1 million frames a second on PC. It feels like it's reading your mind. It's so unbelievably responsive. It's fun. I kind of think the late game becomes a little bit of a drag if you're not really overpowered, because it just becomes, I'm hitting this thing so long.
Mm-hmm.
Why is it not dying? Unless you really get the busted shit. So it failed to make it. But with the runners up out of the way, I got to start with the real things. Number 10, Super Mario RPG Remake. Super Mario RPG is the first RPG I ever played. It got me into the genre. I bought it because it was a Super Mario game that had a commercial on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a good remake. It adds some neat stuff post-game. It polishes up a couple parts. It looks incredible for a Switch game.
Yeah.
Like, Nintendo, all you need to do is make sure the Switch 2 runs this game at a higher resolution.
No, that's true. If you could just lock that frame rate at 60 always and it loads faster, hell yeah. Amazing.
And update it so it uses a more recent version of Unity so it doesn't scroll badly. The remix soundtrack is insane. Like, these are already great songs I love with all my heart, and they just remix them orchestrally so beautifully. The secret boss is so funny and is exactly what they needed to do. I'm also just really thankful I now know what so many of the enemies are. I'm kind of scared that so many of them are tiny entities in suits. I didn't expect quite so many of those.
Black mages escaped.
Yeah, they sure did. But I can't in good conscience put this any higher than that.
Yeah.
It is ultimately almost identical to the game that was released 25 years ago. 28 years ago.
You know, and this is hyperbolistic a little bit because not every early Final Fantasy is as good as Super Mario RPG Remake. But it's like if I came in here with the pixel remasters and I was like, look, it's half my top 10. That would at some point you have to feel gross doing that.
Yes.
Now I want like a Mario RPG remake level remake of Final Fantasy VI.
Oh, that would be, oh man.
Right?
There's no amount of like doing a visually better version of 6 I'll get tired of.
It's like, I just bought the pixel remaster and now there's an HD 2D version coming. I feel like an idiot, and then he still buys it.
Oh, yeah,
It's like,
100%.
they made a slightly higher fidelity version, 3D version now. I feel like an idiot, and then he buys it.
Yeah, they're gonna the HD 2D version for the Switch 2 with the Switch, and then it's like, oh, great, delightful. The PS5 version added ray tracing. Oh, damn it.
Number 9, Atelier Ryza 3.
How mighty.
I forgot that was this year.
Yeah, it was. Is this year? Wow. This is the culmination of the last 5 or so years of this franchise, and this is a pretty good send-off to this era of game. This is the first time since the PS2 that they've had all 3 games very linearly follow the exact same characters. Like, before they would always... In fact, I'm not even sure they did it on the PS2. But before, that 3 games in a set, characters from one game would show up in the subsequent ones, but they would normally have different protagonists and be about very different things. This time they did all 3 in a row. They really built up on the characters in a way that's really interesting, where like one of your party members is like the big tough guy's like, man, my dad's an abusive drunk. I need to get the fuck out of here. And then he does get the fuck out of there in the second game. And in the third game, you go back and he wins a fight against his father. And he's like, that made me feel nothing. The only way I can actually feel better is to make peace and then not become you. That's the only way to win. And just a lot of development between these, because there's not that many characters. There's only like 5 or 6, and their interpersonal relationships do develop a lot over the course of these 3 games. They also just keep getting bigger. Like, this game starts outright by giving you access to the entire area from the first game, and then expands into 2 like continent-sized areas, similarly scaled continents from there. And it just has a lot of interesting mechanics about setting up these bases in each region, and you can decide what spec of base you want. Like, this base will let you find better materials. This base will let you earn more experience. This base will let you earn more money. So you have some degree of customization on what resources you receive. And the crafting is just... I lost way too many hours going, well, I want to craft the best version of this, so I need to craft the best version of these. But to craft the best versions of these, I need to craft the best versions of these. And to craft the best versions of these, I need to go get these items that are in these places, and I need to make this first to improve the quality of items I collect. And you get it. You understand.
Yeah.
It's a shame these still aren't dubbed. I sure hope they bring that back with the next set of games. I feel like everybody's yelled at them enough that maybe they will. And they did start selling more with this sub-franchise. So hopefully. It feels asinine that this series doesn't get dubbed anymore, but then over there is Neptunia, which does.
Yeah.
That just feels farcical.
That seems incorrect.
Yeah.
At least we're past the 7th gen thing where it's like, we're not going to localize these these Tales of games. That's too expensive. We're not going to localize Yakuza. That's too expensive. Here's 8 Neptunia games. Those seem to fly through just fine. Number 8, Armored Core 6. I've never played an Armored Core before. This was a pretty good one to start with. Movement feels so good, and as you chew through the multiple playthroughs it takes to get the true ending, you pick up on all these nuances that you internalize without even realizing it. By my 3rd playthrough, I was just smoking everything without even realizing what I was doing different. I'm like, no, I'm just playing the game.
This is just, I've always been this good, I think. I don't remember changing.
It makes you feel like you became a new type.
Yes.
Like, by the end, it's like, oh, these are 3 really powerful armored cores attacking me, ambushing me on this mission. Okay, that's slightly worrying for a second until I decapitate 2 of them.
They unfortunately don't have double shotguns, unlike me.
I didn't even use double shotguns for most of the game. I used laser rifles.
All right, yeah.
I'm just going to stay as far away from you as possible and slowly ping you to death, and there's not much you can do. I'm faster than you. It's hard to outdo somebody who's faster than you and just keeps throwing rocks.
Right. What a good game.
Why did I have to fight the ice worm on every route? Right? They should give a class on this game because of how well defined all the characters are, despite you never seeing them. None of them have visual manifestations. Not one.
No, you just get to see an emblem in their mobile suit.
And their voice.
Yeah.
And their voice. And that's all you need to really well define these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Number 7. Disgaea 7. I like Disgaea games, but they've fallen off hard since 4. They started leaning too hard into like standard anime tropes when the strength of the franchise had always been there was some sort of satirical edge to these cliches and tropes. And then Disgaea 6 kind of brought that back, but then it just sucked, and they bought the nobody actually wants to play games meme and made a game designed from the ground up not to be played. Designed for you to autopilot your characters through the maps over and over again. I'm like, it's not a phone game.
Yeah, it's weird. Part of me wonders if all of that came about from game journalists who need to chug games faster, being like, your game stopped me at all because I didn't engage with it. You should make this easier.
No, I think
Yeah, I
it
don't
was
know.
mobile games being so popular in Japan.
Okay.
I really think that was it. But Disguise 7 brings it back, and it's the best entry since probably 3. It has fun, memorable characters that properly thread that Disguise needle between, like, I'm an anime archetype and also really insufferable. And they all have killer designs. This is one of the best designs of the cast probably ever.
Yeah. Yeah, I can, I didn't play the game at all, but just looking over at Bob playing it, it was very evident that this character design game in this is strong.
Yeah.
It even nails a couple emotional moments, which is always what you want. The back chunk of a Disguise game should at least have one or two really satisfying moments. And 5 maybe didn't succeed in that at all because it was so generic in so many ways, and the main character kind of didn't have a personality at all. It is a little easy because so many maps are kill the commander to win, which I don't think were in basically any of the prior games.
That would come up once in a while.
Once in a while, but it feels like it's most maps in this one. It's like, well, I'm just going to build a tower and throw my strongest unit right next to him and debone him like a chicken.
Right. You did have that buff from from buying the physical edition or something where you got the double XP.
That's
Yes,
true.
I did have that. But all that meant is I didn't have to grind, really. But I am setting the dial to we're so back. Number 6, Pizza Tower.
Oh, that should have been my runners-up. I didn't even think
I was
about
like,
it.
wow, Bob just didn't even include it. I wasn't going to say anything, though, because that's rude.
I guess Cyberpunk something.
Something. Yeah. Oh, that was supposed to be your runner-up, too?
Yeah, probably. Oh, well.
okay.
It's over.
Bob, you suck. Why do you hate good games?
Pizza Tower is a tight, inventive platformers that has fun new ideas in every level. It has delightful character designs and wonderful expressive sprites and a soundtrack that seems stupid for how good it is.
Yeah.
There's a reason it basically took over Q1 in terms of like mind share for artists and creatives. I don't know how much more I can say about it. It's just good. Like, it's probably cast the widest net of any game on my list. And like, if you told me to recommend one, I didn't know a person and had to recommend a game to them, it would probably be Pizza Tower.
Have you seen this rat?
Yeah. It's impossible to look at Brick and not be delighted.
I mean, that single still frame of Brick driving the taxi
Yes.
is like such a strong image that anyone's like, I'm interested. I'm listening.
Ooh, top 5.
Yeah.
Number 5, The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie. People say Trails fans are annoying, but I say they're entitled to be a little annoying because they're fans of the only JRPG franchise that actually fucking understands the thing these games need to have in them. Every Trails game has several distinct, interesting cities populated by memorable NPCs that you explore with a cast of memorable and strong characters that totally aren't transparent analogs for popular anime and manga characters from 2 to 5 years prior to the game coming out.
What a specific statement.
You level up and get strong in many different ways, and sometimes you fight a really strong guy, deplete 30% of his health, then he says he was holding back and goes Super Saiyan. And Trails into Reverie executes all these points at the highest level of the franchise so far. It helps it's the culmination of 2 different sub-franchises within the franchise, one of which I didn't play at all, and the stuff still mostly landed. That's pretty impressive. It has hysterical character writing that builds on the foundations of these characters that have existed for several games. It has a highly polished combat system that just gives up and gives you the keys to shatter the kneecaps of everything.
Good.
Yeah.
Some bosses didn't even get to take a turn.
That's how you know you did it right.
It's the exact right level of tune where you can play the game like a normal person, enjoy a standard difficulty curve, min-max and grind slightly and be comfortably powerful, or be a sicko like me and be an unstoppable god king. It is to note that they do tune these games so that it is possible to do a 4 up higher difficulty scale. Like there's 4 difficulties above normal. And it can work.
Weird.
Because they've tuned these mechanics so well. It also has maybe the funniest character in any game I've ever played.
Bang Shishigami?
Is it that Code Geass character you showed us?
Yes. Yes, it is.
course.
Helped a lot by his voice actor, who I can't say who it is because it would tell Aggro who that character is.
Nice.
Number 4, Resident Evil 4 Remake.
Disgaea 7's in 7th place. Resident Evil 4 is in 4th place.
I didn't do that on purpose. That's just how it worked out.
Oh my god. First place is going to be The Wonderful Wine.
Oh no.
That's not a game. And I don't mean it's a DLC so it doesn't count. I mean it doesn't rise to the level of a game.
It's a game, but you're the one being played.
Resident Evil 4 is another one of my favorite games. Is Resident Evil 4 Remake as good as it? No. But it is very close. And now that it has the Separate Ways DLC, it's even closer. The expansion of story elements like Krauser and Luis really helps. And while I am sad they cut the giant ludicrous lava room that exists for no reason, almost everything else is in separate ways, if not in the base game. It's a little less arcadey than the original. Like, it doesn't have the arcade game-esque appeal. Not entirely, but it still has some of it. And you can still suplex guys, so it passed the on-off scale I set for it prior to its release.
Yes.
It's a bit lower because there are some things I really don't... And this, again, this is going to sound insane because I'm a person that played the original to death. It bothers me a lot that upgrading your ammo doesn't top off your gun.
Mm-hmm.
That really irritates me. That is a core part of the Resident Evil 4 veteran experience. I also wish they had gone a little bit crazier with post-game unlocks. Resident Evil 3 Remake had those offense and defense coins that you could buy that made all your attacks stronger or made your defense stronger. I would have loved to have those in RE4 Remake.
Yeah, if there's
They
one
even
part...
had the charm system, and they didn't let me unlock any goofy charms.
Right, I was going to say, if there's one part of this game that really suffers from not having like a fully thought out arc to the power scaling and abilities of it, it really is the charm system. It's such an afterthought that even having beaten that game as many times as I did, which I think was at least 4 playthroughs, I just went, oh yeah, the charm system is there.
Right.
Yeah. Number 3. Star Ocean The Second Story R. Star Ocean The Second Story is one of the defining games of young Kris's teenage years. I didn't have a lot of money, so even during the PS2's lifespan, a lot of my time was spent replaying my PS1 games. And Star Ocean 2 was one of the ones I played the most. And this is the Dream Remake. It looks unbelievable. It sounds amazing. They added all these new animations while remaining faithful to how they look. They onboard you to the crafting system more than not doing that at all. They added in all this new content in places that you wouldn't expect. They made things that were useless in the original game not useless anymore. They fixed Claude's ray gun. Only a complete obsessive would even think to do that. And they did. It's the rare remake that doesn't just make a game more accessible or prettier, it expands on it in minor but sensible ways. It would have been even higher if they hadn't made the colors so much more drab. Ooh, top 2.
Yeah.
Tears of the Kingdom. This game shouldn't exist. It just shouldn't. This is probably the riskiest game ever made in the sense of even a single misstep makes it unplayable. Nintendo hinged the sequel to their genre-redefining super game that 7 years later is still transparently being copied on mechanics that feel like complete dog shit if they don't work 100% of the time. And they do. The average person will play through Tears of the Kingdom and never experience it behaving in a way they shouldn't. It shouldn't. It requires so much work to break even a little bit. My jaw dropped at the shrine where it's like, okay, here's a raft with wheels on the side. Glue boards to the wheels and make a paddle boat. It works exactly like you think it would. It will tolerate whatever stupid fucking solution you come up with to solve something. Anything. You can try whatever dumb shit you want, and if the idea behind it is sound, it'll work. There are shrines where it's like, I don't know what the solution to this is. I built a giant staircase and walked up it.
Yep.
And that's not even getting into the 3-layered world that's incredible. Them fixing the weapon durability problems, how much better the dungeons are than the ones in the first game.
Yeah, they're like actually dungeons this time.
They followed up one of the strongest games ever made with a game that kind of makes it look like a tech demo.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't Spider-Man 2 just do that?
Miracles are real, guys. Why aren't you doing that?
So why aren't you Jesus Christ?
Yeah, somebody is saying that to Insomniac right now.
Oh my
I think I
god.
had to read that book in middle school.
And number 1, my game of the year is Alan Wake 2. I'm going to be honest. I was starting to really get ground down by high budget gaming. Every AAA game plot just feels so self-serious tonally. It was starting to weigh on me. And I was also getting sick of how often characters just seemed to be assholes to each other. How many people seem to think, well, these two characters just snapping at each other like overly aggressive dogs, that's character writing. And Alan Wake 2 doesn't have any of that. When you get to the part where Saga is dealing with the Federal Bureau of Control woman, and they aren't pointlessly confrontational to each other, I got confused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
fair.
wait, where's the chunk of the game where the authority figure is stupid and unreasonable no matter what happens?
Yeah.
Isn't this a high budget game with realistic graphics? I'm confused. She's supposed to be stupid and unreasonable and make the problem worse. She's not doing that. She's trying to resolve things. It has a clear vision and direction and just is so delightful in every way, from how it frames scenes. All the live action stuff is so charming.
Oh yeah, those commercials you run into of the two brothers are incredible.
They're so good.
Did you know they sold an Oh Dear coffee thermos?
No.
I was scrambling trying to find it. I'm like, I need this. I need the Oh Dear Diner coffee thermos.
Ilka Vili, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. He is the actor who plays Alan Wake physically. Is such an amazing facial actor. Like he's just funny to look at when he's making faces in all these live action scenes. He's able to look like a confused dog better than any actor I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man.
And the unbelievably funny, which you know Sam Lake was smirking the whole time he was writing this. As you get further in, it's like, oh, Alan Wake's a stupid hack. All of this is because he's a stupid hack. And then you get to Warlin Door going, bro, this hell is literally of your own creation. Nobody did this to you. You did this to you.
No, it's got to be a horror story.
Like he talks so much about the rules, and what from Marlon Door's conversation, I assume it's just all that shit's not true.
Right?
It's exactly like he comes off exactly as much of a dipshit as some artist who would say they're enslaved by their own genius would. And Saga, meanwhile, is such a down-to-earth character. She's so straightforward, but also still fun. And honestly, the stuff with her kid makes a lot of tension in parts where I'm like, it would flip from, okay, it's really funny now. It's like reality is trying to kill your child. Like someone is rewriting reality to make it so you killed your child through neglect. And that is terrifying. And they after Alan Wake 1 only had one musical scene. They correctly figured out that Alan Wake 2 needed to have 2 and gave us Initiation 4, which is maybe the best segment of any game ever made.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in the during developing it, multiple people were like, Sam Lake, do we really need this segment of the game? It's really hard to make work. And Sam Lake just went, yes. And he was right.
He was right.
This would not be my game of the year if it was not for that scene. Not for that segment.
Mm-hmm.
It ties everything together. And because they're just ripping off Resident Evil, the gameplay is mostly tolerable.
Mm-hmm.
If only that worked during the PS1 generation. So many games that just ripped off Resident Evil. It's like, no, you are too rough. This is unplayable.
It still got a lot of those by, like Overblood.
I don't know that we can be like Overblood is a success.
I never, ever, ever, ever intend to play this game on anything but story difficulty ever again.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not going to happen. I could gush about it so much. Like, every little thing is funny. Like, yeah, he fed the moose coffee until it died. Just how shitty Coffee World is to begin with. First of all, the coffee theme park being in the town called Watery.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, obviously already knows what they're doing.
But it sucks so bad. And I've seen places like that where it's like, this is one guy who made a bunch of money in this small town. He's like, I can do this. I'm like, no, you really can't. I'm very impressed by those rides you bought from the state fair when they replaced them with better rides. And there's also there's so many interesting things, like the manuscript pages having the cutscene of Alan Wake writing them. When you upgrade Saga, it cuts to Alan Wake writing Saga, realizing the upgrade. It was so brilliant to give a game prose, other than a visual novel. Objectively the highest form of art.
Obviously.
I was kind of down on Control, honestly. Like, I think that leaned way too much into being an action game.
Yeah,
and didn't have enough of the Remedy sauce in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it had a little bit. It didn't have zero. It had some parts that were real great. But a lot of it was kind of, you're running around this office building with concrete environments shooting things. I'm like, that's not really what I want out of a Remedy game. And this brought it back so hard. In no world did I imagine I would boot the game and be playing as a naked guy with his dick flopping around. That was really shocking. But yeah, that's my game of the year.
Well, let's run up through the list again, starting with your number 10.
Number 10, Super Mario RPG Remake. Number 9, Atelier Ryza 3. Number 8, Armored Core 6. Number 7, Disgaea 7. Number 6, Pizza Tower. God, so many games having numbers in their name. Number 5, The Legend of Heroes Trails into Reverie. Number 4, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Number 3, Star Ocean The Second Story R2. No, just Star Ocean The Second Story R. Number 2, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And number 1, Alan Wake 2.
Okay, well, I guess I'll go next. As I said before, this opening segment, before we even get to best soundtrack, is going to sound like I'm the Kratos actor doing the speech that will ruin everyone's time next year. So I have a few things, okay? We have 3 segmentations for my opening.
What?
Apologies.
Okay.
Where I'm going to apologize to games I didn't get to play at all. Let me go ahead and get those out of the way. Sea of Stars and Star Ocean 2, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But Sea of Stars looked really great. I loved hearing about the timing-based mechanics a la Super Mario RPG. The aesthetic seemed really, really cool. I didn't come around to playing it, unfortunately. Star Ocean 2, I grew up with Star Ocean 2 in this HD 2D remake. Looks immaculate, and all of the quality of life stuff that's been added makes it sound so incredible. So it's heartbreaking that I didn't get around to playing it, but at the same time, I know how I feel about giving a game that is already a game that exists the game of the year for a certain year. It's only funny when it's No More Heroes 3 escaping the Switch. Talos Principle 2. I really wish I had gotten to that. That is the end of that sentence. The making of Karateka is an incredible new effort to make the fusion documentary game in the space of games. It does so many things I had wished people had done with collections in the past of like, no, get every version of the thing. Just slam them all in there, give developer commentary, show the game through development, all this stuff. That is exactly what I want from this sort of space, because you may not be able to make the definitive way to play each individual version, right? You're probably never going to be able to get the input latency as low as, say, a Mister or something like that. But you can make a great historical document out of your game. And they did it, but I didn't play it. Hypocrite. Lunacid seemed cool. That's the end of that statement.
Yup.
And Xenoblade 3 Chronicles. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed DLC. I have been told by people on the internet I have 280 more hours of video game to go play before I could really appreciate this.
No, don't do
No,
that.
sorry, it's done now. That's definitely why I didn't play it. No other reason. That's it for my apology segment. I want to go ahead and throw out some honorable mentions that are really cool games and great experiences from this year that I wouldn't quite call runner-ups for specific reasons. First one's Moss Book 1 and 2. Absolutely great. As I've said before, a big thing to mention, if it was Rodent of the Year, Quill would have won. Quill is the mouse you play alongside of, because you are the viewer peering in through the book, seeing the story, and she can see you see her. She speaks in various promo material in American Sign Language using her mouse arms and stuff. It's so cool. She's so communicative, and it is a really great time as you puzzle solve and platform your way through various spaces that are kind of like Zelda.
It's just like, why? Oh, right. It's like the gorillas from Congo.
Why?
Holy shit.
Jesus Christ. Paper Beast.
No, real quick, does she have a laser gun?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't. Wait, well. She, kind of, yeah, actually.
All right, good, great.
Damn it. I can't believe I let Bob have that. Paper Beast is an incredibly powerful experience that happened to me. It feels so different to compare to these other things. And it feels so wrong to rank. This is a game that I feel like exists almost outside of the Notion. The beauty and horrifying nature of the alien world you explore in Paper Beast, and the PSVR 2 experience, because this is enhanced edition, making it so much easier to get immersed because your field of view is better, your HDR is there so you can see better in the caves, your motion controls are good at all because you're not using two move controllers. Like, it is a great experience, but it's really hard to put that in the same space as everything else. And my last honorable mention, Void Stranger. I like what Void Stranger is putting down, but then it pissed me off because I put a lot of time into getting the second ending, and then I got one of those. Isn't it cool if you do this hyper specific thing, you get this really weird ending instead of this other stuff that is this other massive chunk of the game you might want to play? And I'm like, in another context, that is very cool. In this context, I am done playing Void Stranger. So, really amazing stuff in that game, really powerful stuff. The strongest Sokoban game ever made. Anyways, let's get to the runner-up, and I'm going to go ahead and say, though this may accidentally be in the order they should be mentioned in, that would be coincidence. Endless Monday Dreams and Deadlines is a game that had an impact on me as a serial procrastinator who crammed this over the course of a weekend for Game of the Year. It is such a delightful game, and I really look forward to what this dev is doing next. It is really great to sit down with a game that didn't cost that much money, that is 3 hours of very funny exchanges, very cute characters, great designs, great comedy, and extremely relatable ennui. I really appreciate that the worst ending in the game is the one where she goes to become a farmer and then defeats slimes in a nearby cave. And I'm like, that's the best ending. There's no way it gets better from here.
She's playing Room Factory. It sounds great.
Exactly. Next up, Super Mario RPG Remake. That soundtrack is incredible. Those visuals are incredible. That game is such a great game. I played the original a lot, though.
Right.
And that's like the lack of freshness is kind of like what does it for me, where it's like, you're just any other year, man. Any other year. Where were you in 2020? But I'm really glad that remake exists. I hope to revisit it again on the Switch too. Maybe it locks the 60 frames per second. The soundtrack is absolutely incredible. They did such a bang up job. Shimomura, she don't miss. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is cool as shit.
Yeah, it is.
What an amazing game. What a great soundtrack.
Yeah, do you get decapitated in the first mission of any other Jet Set Radio? I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I don't know. I didn't play the original Jet Set. Maybe that does happen. Seventh Guest VR. Really fun. I love the characters in this. Their actors do such an amazing job of taking these character tropes and cranking them up to 11. I laughed so hard playing this game, and there were a couple heartfelt moments too as I'm solving these puzzles all throughout the house. It really, any other year, and I feel like it would have landed too. What a ridiculous year 2023 has been.
Yeah.
Synapse. Synapse is kind of crazy in that it flew under everyone's radar because it's VR. But it is a roguelike shooter in VR where you have telekinetic powers and you get to stack all of these skill trees in order to keep re-entering the mind space of David Hayter to invade and get the information out you need to for your government or for him.
Oh, no.
I played almost the entirety of this game in one session. My feet hurt. I did not think I would be playing it all in one go, so I didn't put out a yoga mat or anything. I was just standing on hard wood, and that sucked by the end. But Synapse is really, really strong. Any other year would have made it. You know what else would have made it in any other year? Metroid Prime Remastered. That is an excellent update of that game. That is such a good way to play Metroid Prime. Thank you. That seems like it took 22 years, a little too long, but we're there. Metroid Prime 2 sticks.
Whoa.
You can look one way, move another. And I know everybody's going to be like, you could have modded on a PC to use that. I'm not here for mouse look. I just want an experience people can go to play Metroid Prime 1. This has given me so much confidence in Metroid Prime 4, which is definitely coming out by the end of this year.
You know it, man.
And this one is definitely ordered correctly because this is my last runner-up. This actually got to the point where it was excruciating. Pikmin 4 is my my virtual 11th place pick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
They absolutely nailed it. They got Pikmin down. Ochi brings so much to the gameplay, the scale of it, the environments, how the time cycle works, the ebbs and flows of the tide to change where you can walk. The game has so many amazing things in it, and it's so delightful and so fun. And for me this year, it just barely doesn't make the list, and that hurts. I wish it came out any other year. It would have been so high on those lists. And I guess I got to get to my top 10. But before I get to my top 10, okay, so I know I've been very self-indulgent so far.
Uh-huh.
This will change nothing. I'm going to continue to be self-indulgent. So my top 3 soundtracks of the year.
Do it.
Number 3, Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake 2 has an absolutely stellar soundtrack, not only because of Initiation 4, but also the interquel songs that play at the end of every episode and how they change for who they're for.
Mm-hmm.
Those songs are really, really great. This is a soundtrack I would absolutely listen to outside of this game.
More developers need to just pick a small band they like we're partnering with you forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, again, that was the best part, Control, and it's even way better here.
Second place, 30XX. I spent years waiting for this game to come out so that way I could give it my soundtrack of the year, and I had spent all of those years listening to the soundtrack. So the only reason this isn't my soundtrack of the year is because it's no longer fresh. That's it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Listening to the same song for that long, we'll do that.
But it's so good. It hasn't lost any luster. It's just not novel. So it doesn't feel like it's 2023. It feels like it's older.
Yeah.
It feels weird. It feels bizarre. But 30XX's soundtrack is absolutely incredible. Probably the game soundtrack I've listened to the most outside of playing a game, next to Zone of the Enders 2. And my soundtrack of the year, Pizza Tower. Have you heard that thing? Every song is great. That's it. That's all I got to say. There's the final boss music. There's the escaping the level music. They really nail the two things Pizza Tower absolutely nails is animation and music. Mm-hmm. Like all the sound design. So good. They absolutely nailed it. Honorable mention to Pistol Whip. You're licensed though, so that's like awkward.
Yeah.
It's awkward.
It's still the music that's in the game.
I know, but it's like compared to these other things, I couldn't give it even a top 3. It would be 4th, literally. If it makes you feel better, I can type it. Right?
Your runner-up of your top 3 of your soundtrack.
But now we need to get into honorable mentions. Okay, so before I read this top 10, you need to understand this was the most excruciating it's ever been. It has taken me to dark places to rank these games. I emerged through the other end of this game of the year, changed, slightly worn down, devastated at the decisions I had to make. And you don't get to sit there and be like, I don't agree with you, Dan. Why is that game there? You know what? It wasn't easy, but we made it through Game of the Year 2023.
Right?
My number 10 is going to be the least understandable to anyone who hasn't played it, and even some who have. Walkabout Mini Golf VR.
Preach.
I think that's completely understandable.
It is incredible the sort of mastery they do when they craft these environments in a sort of lo-fi fidelity you would expect in an interquel era of graphics between the PS1 and the PS2 that still accomplish such a tone and mood to them that is great. You get absolutely stunning recreations of like something like the Island of Mist, but even their original stuff, like the pirate shit stuff, the Celtic Islands sort of level, all these other regions have such a beautiful grandiosity to it that it really is amazing to just fly up into the atmosphere and look upon all of it. And outside of the visuals even, this is such a great space for like a multiplayer game for VR because you don't need to set up a lobby. It's not complicated. You just get a room code. You give it to anyone on any platform who has this game. They jump in immediately and you get to see their avatar in these 3D spaces and the voice, chat properly comes out of them. So you're able to see your friends in this space looking around for all the hidden stuff. And as I've described on a big thing to mention, on the easy mode, you're looking for golf balls. On the hard modes, you get to do different optional things that weave a narrative. And it's really neat to just go on a combination fun putt-putt golf thing that is gamified because, of course, no mini golf thing would be able to set up the courses like this has and be OSHA compliant. Like you just have too many handrailless sets of rock steps going down flights of stairs. You have giant things you're knocking the ball off of to ramp on to a different island, basically. There are so many things like that are just really fun, and the physics are really good. I rarely ever just go, that's wrong. Which actually is a surprisingly hard thing to nail in VR. As someone who likes Hot Shots Golf, but not a ton of other golf games, like I also enjoy Mario Golf. I don't really consider myself a golf fanatic, but I do enjoy mini golf somewhat. This is easily jumped up to like my number 2 favorite golf game ever, right under Mario Golf, depending on the entry, of course, because some Mario Golfs are lesser than others.
Yes.
It was a great time. And let me tell you, for the VR representation on this list, they really benefited from this is the year that all of them got to escape to the PSVR 2, which is the first VR headset that I've got to experience that has great controls, high comfort on the headset, amazing HDR, OLED displays inside of it. In a number of ways, it outdoes, what the MetaQuest is offering. And in a number of ways, it outdoes what some of the PC space is. There's an ease of use with it that is there for PSVR 2 that isn't there for PC and definitely wasn't there for PSVR 1 either because you needed a camera that pointed at you and 2 charged move controllers and all this stuff. This really was, for me, the first moment where it felt like we hit the critical load of this is good enough to get in there and be immersed and have a great time and not worry about all these layers in between. And this year gets to cheat. I'm so interested in 2024 because, enough games will have escaped prior years on other platforms.
Yeah.
Because for people who don't know, we have the clause, which is usually called the Switch clause, where it's the games escapes this platform that you absolutely do not want to engage with it on to a more palatable one. We allow that. So that way in 2024, I could bring in Toho Luna Nights. Okay. I will stop talking about VR games for now. Alan Wake 2 is my number 9. I hate combat in this game. Everything else is amazing. The story, the characters, the moments, all of it hits so many emotions so strongly that it makes you go, wait a second, this was the fucking point of AAA. What the fuck are the rest of you doing? What the hell is the point of spending $280 million on a Spider-Man game where they don't dance?
Dan, I'm grabbing your head. I'm looking you dead in the eyes. We're funny now. We're funny.
No!
We're funny.
No!
You can go down and hang out with these NPCs on the ground that you would never have any reason to do that in a Spider-Man game and hear jokes that Insomniac wrote during everybody's lunch breaks over 7 years. We're funny. We're funny now. This is the funny time. This is value. $305 million.
Alan Wake 2 is so good. It would be my game of the year if I enjoyed the combat. it really would. I just did not enjoy the combat to such a degree that it is my number 9. It's exactly what Kris said. I want to do another playthrough. I am never not doing it on story.
Right.
This is incredible, though, because as Kris was talking about, Control is something that was of interest to me, but I dislike the combat so much in that. Like, it just doesn't fire for me. Maybe on PC it would, but I don't know. That I just never beat it. But the story grips you. The comedy is so good. The character portrayals, acting, and everything. The layers of metatextual representation. Like the part where you can look at the flesh and blood actor for Alan Wake and go, but that's not the real Alan Wake. That's the Alan Wake outside of your control. So it's maybe not him. It's the vision of him he's enduring until he gains a control again in the darkness. Absolutely amazing. I love Alan Wake 2. You get a 9. When are they going to make a melee action game? Where's my character action remedy game?
Oh my God, I worry about
hopefully
how bad
never
that will be.
because there is two games in the entire Western canon of video games that have good melee combat, and both of them have God of War in the name and came out within the past decade.
It's true. It's true. My number 8, Pizza Tower. Pizza Tower absolutely nails it. That's all I have to say. I really am bummed out that I did not play Wario games before this. Because I worry I'm coming in here and I'm just like, I've never played a visual novel before, but this one's the best. Pizza Tower's characters are so fantastic. Watching Pepito constantly melting down as scary things come to him. It's so amazing. I really enjoyed my time with that game. I loved blitzing through it, and then like the Friday stream the next week watching Bob do it too. That game is so dense with really cool design decisions about like you should just be able to run straight up a wall and then do this wall kick off of it. All the mobility stuff is really, really great. My number 7, Silent Hope. Silent Hope is basically flawed in only one way. It does not have multiplayer. That is it. Outside of that, it is the perfect form of itself. Silent Hope is basically exactly what it says on the tin. It is almost a Diablo 1 or 2 style game made by the people who made Story of Seasons. There are cute characters. There are all these item crafting and farming systems. And you get to have a fun, quick, responsive, action light sort of game. As you travel down here, there are all sorts of systems you can utilize to make yourself unbelievably powerful. It's such a great game, and I really look forward to my next playthrough. And even better, since it is designed to run on the Switch at 30 frames per second, that means on a 4090, it runs at hundreds of frames a second. So, you know damn well what my first video game I'll ever play on that mythical, hopefully going to get it, putting it on the dream board, 480 hertz monitor will be. I need to see that shit. It will be like peering into the very face of God. My number 6 is number 6 for the exact same reason Alan Wake 2 is number 9. I hate the combat in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I love everything else, and it is unprecedented how good and amazing that game is in countless ways. However, they're like, here's a room full of enemies, and I'm like, I just wish a side jump felt good. Even that would be nice. I had such a great time with the game. I don't think I've ever enjoyed an open world game of that scale to that extent ever. Because, you scale it down. Infamous. Infamous is like, what, a 20th the size or something?
Probably not even that.
Probably not even. But there are so many cool things in this game, and it has possibly the best plot twist of 2023. And that was a really amazing moment. My number 5, Armored Core 6. Immaculate feeling game. It is the best feeling Armored Core. I wish it had the best soundtrack in Armored Core. I wish it had something approaching Armored Core 2 or Nexus's soundtrack, but Armored Core 6 does an absolutely amazing job of building out boss fights that feel absolutely incredible to engage with, because while they had boss fights in prior Armored Cores, I do not believe 99% of them were anywhere near good enough to step to this game. They really figured out how to make it something that's still technical and hard to engage with to get to the highest skills like play, but also incredibly approachable. They did it, and I'm so glad it's back, and I'm so glad they nailed it. The only complaints are I wish there was a little more game and that getting the other routes was more interesting. The ice worm's fine. Just master the exact moments you need to shoot and when to aim and all that. And then it's only done in half an hour.
Right? That's all.
I did that. It's still bad.
What, you don't have a spare half an hour to give the game for its cool-looking boss fight? My number 4 is Pseudo Regalia.
Damn.
I love 3D platformers, dude. This fucking nailed it for me in so many ways. I always thought it was weird when 3D platformers weren't more explored in the sort of early surgence of indie games. And I feel like they have really made something completely unique here. And as Bob was mentioning, the mobility stuff is so incredible to engage with. And that's really the word for it. You're engaging with it. You know, some 3D platformers, and I'm not going to say anything about which ones, might, instead of giving you really cool moves you can do to chain off of other things and use the physics to your advantage to get to a place, maybe you just enter a stance of sorts and now you can walk up a steep hill. And it feels really good that Pseudo Regalia specifically built an entire game out of that aesthetic. This is the exact, if the entire video game industry burned to the ground and it was just, now all these indies are making their own sort of Pseudo Regalia tier thing, I would be happier. I love Pseudo Regalia. I'm so happy it exists. My number 3 is Resident Evil 4 Remake. I beat that game 4 times. I want to do it again. That game's the only game I played on PC this entire year that worked correctly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That is the only video game they have nailed hair perfectly if you play it on the high fidelity mode, which runs fine on a 4090. Resident Evil 4 Remake is such a hyper-polished version of Resident Evil 4. I actually think it is better than the original in some ways. It is such an incredible experience. It's completely unreal that it came out this good. I did not expect to enjoy this game as much as I did. I'm so excited for my next playthrough. And hilariously, you know that apology segment I did where I was like, I'm sorry I didn't play your game?
Uh-huh.
I have to say that for one more game, Resident Evil 4 in VR.
Of course.
I didn't try it. I own it on PC like a stooge. Oh, well, at least the hair looked nice and it ran at really high frame rates. That's something. My number 2 game of the year is Puzzling Places. And that is not an experience I think most people will be able to understand until they put on the headset, like the PlayStation 5 OS tells you to. Put on the headset. I'm like, what? Okay.
I'll beat you up in a parking lot until you do.
It is akin to deep meditation. It is a beautiful space in which you get to explore and appreciate the nuances of things going together. It is, on paper, just a VR jigsaw game. But actually doing it is such a pleasant experience, incomparable to any other. I wish I had analogs for what playing Puzzling Places was like for me, but they simply don't exist. Sometimes you'll play a AAA game, or at least I will, and you'll be like, oh, that was 8 hours gone, and I just did the dumbest thing I can imagine for 8 hours, and now my day's over. Puzzling Places, you can spend 7 hours in there putting together these different beautiful sets of churches and city streets during a snowy winter, coastlines in Spain, and all these regions. And at the end of doing that for 7 hours, you're like, that was great. That was a great time. I regret nothing. This was important and meaningful to me. I was floored when I realized I had hit 35 hours into that game only a couple weeks after I got it. I'm so upset it's not on Steam because so many of my VR playing friends only have PC VR. It's only on Quest and PlayStation. Anyways, my number one's Pistol Whip. Who didn't see that coming? Did you not see that coming, listener? What do you not get? Pistol Whip is John Wick as a rhythm game shooter. Strobing lights, amazing music, you dodging bullets in slow motion, getting headshots on the beat for all of these cool levels, and they keep adding cooler ones. Here's the core set. It's the concept of the game with some cool techno. Oh, what's that free update? Now it's cowboy shit. You have dual shotguns that have explosive ammo. You have skeleton riders going on wagons next to you, shooting at you. What's that? Another new set. Hip-hop album infused. We got fucking people falling from the sky when you're in a domino chess landscape, amazingly cut to a hip-hop remix of classical music. It is an amazing experience, and also there's that spooky one. The fact they keep updating this game with more and more free levels is absolutely nuts. They have such a long content roadmap, and I've had to spend 0 cents on it. It is not often I play a rhythm game where I'm just like, you had a perfectly valid and enjoyable idea for how to make a new type of rhythm game. Because most of the time it's like, hey, this is a new way to do the inputs. And I'm like, yeah, but it sucks to do. Pistol Whip is so great. I wish it was as good on other headsets because I tried it on MetaQuest 2 as well. And I was like, oh, this is like Pistol womp womp. Anyways, that does it for my top 10. I'll go ahead and read it from the bottom to the top, and then we'll get to aggro. My number 10 is Walkabout Mini Golf VR. Number 9, Alan Wake 2. Number 8, Pizza Tower. Number 7, Silent Hope. Number 6, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Number 5, Armored Core 6. Number 4, Pseudo Regalia. Number 3, Resident Evil 4 with the remake implied. They really should have put that in the title. I hate that I have 2 Resident Evil 4s on my PS5.
But one is Resident Evil 4 / Biohazard.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it has Biohazard stuck in the name now.
Huh. Number 2, Puzzling Places, and my number 1 game of the year, Pistol Whip.
Wow, that Star Wars VR game didn't even make it to your runner-up.
No, you want to hear the story for that because I feel like somebody's interested, right?
Sure.
Because you saw my tentative top 10 for a long time. You're probably... I went back and played it.
Uh-huh.
Mechanically, Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy Edge Definitive Edition, I believe is the thing at the very end of the title, is really great. Mm-hmm. Mechanically, immaculate game. Absolutely superb to engage with. They make bad levels.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah. So... When you played the great levels, it is truly a 10 out of 10 video game. The problem is you have to play other levels to get to the great levels.
Right.
And it is definitely diminished by that experience. They could have literally made a game that was as dumb as like, what's the name of the second Jedi game? Because they go Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2. Is that right?
Dark Forces 2
Jedi Knight.
And then Jedi Outcast.
Okay. So... Jedi Knight is the level of complexity for storytelling and building a level that you could have done, and this would have been a 10 out of 10 game. But unfortunately, they saddled it down with all of these ideas about what makes for good content in a AAA space.
Uh-huh.
That's really unfortunate. The game looks amazing. The game mechanically is so fun at every moment. And then you find yourself trapped again in the caves of the mountains as the cursor telling you where to go is through a solid rock wall. And you remember this is exactly how it went on your last playthrough, where you just wandered around a space where you killed every guy in the vicinity and you still cannot find the way to the specific part it wants you to go. And then you think about all the other areas of the game that are just not as good as that awesome shootout in the old Jedi archives.
Mm-hmm.
You just go, they should make another one of these. But the AAA space for VR is definitely dropping out, so there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way.
Also, there's a really bad but completely optional Jedi stuff where it's like, go to the temple to pray with Yoda. Pray. To meditate with Yoda.
Do the worst
forced telekinesis task possible as you stack rocks. It's cool on paper.
Yeah.
Okay, Aggro? Let's hear it.
Okay. Well, if I'm starting with my soundtrack of the year, it's definitely also going to be Octopath Traveler 2. I was surprised and delighted to hear Bob had such good taste before he shattered that positive opinion of himself. I mean, like, you've got a song for a cowboy merchant that is guitar and saxophone. This is one of the greatest soundtracks of all time. You've got the themes for each area having different versions for day and night that are really well done. It honestly put me in mind of nothing quite so much as the soundtrack for Voice of Cards, The Isle Dragon Roars, which was my favorite for that year. It's honestly the only other soundtrack other than Alan Wake that just got put on constant playlists for me this year.
It's only through Aggro's nomination that I remembered I did not list that as one of the games. I was sorry I didn't get to. It slipped my fucking list.
I'm not even sorry I didn't play you.
No, I deleted it. I deleted it so early because you guys are like, it's 100 hours. And I'm like, it's over.
Yup. So, before I get to apologies and honorable mentions, I have some recriminations for games that should have been on this list. I'm looking at you, Forspoken and Starfield.
Oh no! You're supposed to forget Forspoken existed.
Starfield.
You know how fucking easy how fucking easy it would have been to get me to forgive anything in a game where you get isekai'd into being a wizard and fight other wizards. You know how hard you had to drop that ball to make me not swallow that pill.
Jesus.
And I have said enough about Starfield.
Everyone appreciates your sacrifice for the contributions to the game of the year.
It's my turn to apologize to Spider-Man 2. A game that, upon reflection, probably should have shown up in a few categories for this year's Game of the Year, but got absolutely mentally buried by the non-stop barrage that was this year.
Yeah, it's weird. I think that of all first-party Sony games, that is the most. Anytime recently, I finished one of them and it just slid off my brain. Because Deacon Days Gone does not leave your brain.
No.
Yeah, Deacon Days Gone stays forever. I'm stupid. If they put out a Days Gone 2 at some point, I'm like, sure, day one.
$150 edition, please.
If it included like a statue of Deke screaming.
Right, that's the hope, right?
Not even the motorcycle, just his screaming face.
Yeah.
Yeah, him doing the Alan Wake scream.
There are a few games I didn't get to play enough of. I never went back to. And, you know, that's probably really more Chris's fault than mine for forcing me to play Trails of Cold Steel 1 against my will.
Oh, that's so messed up you would do that to you.
If you just play 2, 3, 4, and Trails into Reverie before summer, you can hop on the new sub-series at the beginning.
Yeah, you say that like it's a joke, like that's not what I'm about to do.
No, you should do it. This isn't a joke. I'm telling you the optimal course of action.
We're going to take the higher road and just top on the new series and then not worry about any of the other stuff.
Oh my God. There was also stuff like Seventh Guest VR and the Room VR that are so just crammed up my alley that it took this year to knock them off the list. Paper Beast is also amongst that list, I guess. It's just, it hurt. I mean, I got to the bottom of this list and I started just driving the knife into my heart every time I had to knock something down.
Yeah.
Like, I remember last year, I barely filled a top 10 list with some bullshit. Oh, I didn't like this better. Okay. So moving on from that, my number 10 was Puzzling Places. You know, making your way in the world today, it takes everything you got.
Really?
And taking a break from all your worries,
Yeah.
it sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away?
Yeah, I would.
Sometimes you want to go where you can sit in a silent, limitless void and make steady, definite progress on a definitively surmountable problem with zero stakes and concrete sensory rewards.
Yeah.
That game is like the people who made it made the world better. That was a genuine good act. I've often thought about like the arc of games and bloat in game design, and how like a lot of those old, especially portable games like Game Boy games, you don't make simple games anymore. They're not big enough. There's not enough content. People won't go for it. VR has really been a space where you can make a game that does one thing, and that's enough. As long as you make a shit ton of content for it.
Yeah. How did you build 2 brainworms into your fucking nomination for it as number 10? The Cheers theme and That's Enough. That's messed up.
Number 9 is Honkai Star Rail. What if Genshin Impact was a science fantasy turn-based JRPG? What if you could play it on every screen you own? What if it had Pitch Dark Hook the Great in it?
Oh, that would be poggers.
It sounds more dangerous than anything else.
Yeah, no, playing this game feels less like, having fun playing a video game and more like, I wonder how much of this substance I can inject before I am irreparably harmed by it.
Oh my god.
Like, I don't have an addictive personality. It's probably going to be fine.
You said with black tar heroin?
Structurally, it's so fascinatingly new for me. It's basically an entire old MMORPG devoid of all other people.
That certainly has appeal.
Wishes do come true, don't they, Aggro?
They do. It's got all the varied systems and activities to do of like I said, an old mature MMO, but with the interaction of a JRPG. It's fantastic. Humanity probably won't survive this sort of thing. We will look back on this evolution of game design and weep.
I think that's basically what they said about the invention of the Dorito. Is that?
Number 8 is Resident Evil 4 Remake. You heard it here last. Resident Evil 4 is a pretty good video game.
No
gallons of atmosphere, a bottomless affinity for camp writ large. And I mean, it's RE4. It is the Skyrim of video games that aren't Skyrim. It has been re-released.
That is true.
And ported over and over. They have polished this fucking stone into a gem. Number 7 is Walkabout Mini Golf VR.
Yes!
This is that rare occasion where you make a video game version of a sport and it's just better than the actual sport. The level design is amazing in that, yes, you are making mini golf courses that couldn't exist in reality legally, but could exist in reality.
Yes.
It's also just one of the best multiplayer experiences ever. I mean, it's mini golf. It was designed to crush the human spirit if somebody else is watching you do it. It is an immaculately good time every time you put the headset on. And it really is just a soulfully relaxing experience, no matter how much profanity I'm shouting alone in my living room, because God damn it, I felt that putt was wrong as soon as I did it.
Yeah, the moment your club makes contact, that's when you regret.
The physics are so good, they're so consistent, and if you don't like them, you can change them. There's a slider for that.
I actually didn't know that.
Oh yeah, if the speed the ball comes off your swing at, that power transfer is adjustable. The angle you hold your putter at is adjustable.
Yes.
The distance you spawn in from your ball is adjustable.
Oh, I didn't know that last one. Ooh. That's really helpful, because for people who haven't played it, the trigger literally just pops you right next to your ball. So anytime you really just want to get to it instead of exploring the beautiful environment and trying to find the secrets, you can just hit that and boom, you're right next to the ball.
Number 6 is the Talos Principle 2. The only way that this game could have been more designed specifically for me was if, in addition to literary references and philosophical debates, the robots also talked about which swords were cooler while solving increasingly difficult switch and beam puzzles. If you are a fan of 3D puzzles in physical space, which is not a thing you get a lot of like this. I mean, this was a meal of puzzles. I got to the end and they were like, here's all the extra puzzles. And I solved a couple and looked at the rest and went, nah, man, I'm brain fried. I have had enough. I'm so full. Also, Volvi's in it.
You're kidding, right?
No. There is a small mechanical Volvi that is the solution to one of the environmental puzzles.
Incredible.
Oh, I don't want to see Volvi ever in anything.
Oh, no.
I also got to present concrete video evidence to one of these robots that his entire idea of an attainable and enforceable objective moral code was wrong and destroyed his entire life. It was amazing.
Are you telling me this game placed this high on your game of the year because you destroyed a robot with facts and logic?
I mean, the only thing missing was it letting me start a podcast to do it.
Holy shit.
All right. Number 5 was Moss Book 2. There are, obviously every game on this list I enjoyed playing and really, really like. Moss Book 2 was one of those experiences that I felt privileged to take part in. It is a game as small and as focused as its tiny mouse with a sword main character. It's the sort of thing that makes me proud of the medium as a whole and what it can accomplish. It's just so simple and refined and probably deeply emotionally manipulative to a kid who grew up reading. But you know what? That's okay, because in return, I got a set of memories that are probably going to last a lifetime. This is a gameplay style that should be emulated more if VR as a concept is going to survive.
Yeah.
Number 4 is Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Let's see here. A revolution in game design, an unparalleled achievement, a watershed moment. And these were all things they said about the game that this game dumpstered when it released.
Yeah, that sure is how it goes.
I don't know how you take what was heralded as a miracle and improve on it in every dimension. This was a game so mechanically interesting and solid that game developers were having meltdowns in public because they'd been taught that you couldn't do this.
That was so unbelievably funny. It's like, what the fuck? You're not supposed to do any of this. Every single thing this game did every single thing I was taught you should never do, and it sold more than every game I'll ever work on combined.
Yeah, I constantly think about where this is leading us for future indie devs. If academically speaking, that is what game devs have been taught institutionally.
Right.
It hit a remarkably hard to find sweet spot between directionless open world and focused story quests. The sheer amount of shit between, the 3-tiered map, the characters in this one, all those cool little side quests and moments, the ability to solve all of your problems by sticking logs end to end and just climbing up it.
Yes.
I mean, this was a game that gave you an amazing suite of tools and challenged you to break it. This is the only time I'm not being shittily sarcastic when I call a video game brave. Number 3 is Alan Wake 2. A game so good that it reset my brain chemistry. That is genuinely, I was staring at 3 and 4 and like, I don't know, like one is this and the other is this. And there are so many games that I can now go play because of Alan Wake 2. I also didn't seem to mind the combat as much as the rest of y'all, so that's also a plus.
It's a pretty big plus.
Saga with that sawed-off shotgun is maybe the most powerful I've felt in a video game in a long time.
Yeah, it was weird when they gave you the pump action one for her near the end of the game. I was like, but I have the sawed off that's just better and takes less inventory space. What are you doing?
Yeah, that was really confusing.
it was good for that one fight immediately after, and then I just put it away. Okay, number 2, Baldur's Gate 3. This is the mainstream media portion of the GigaBoots Game of the Year.
Representation is important.
I have said it before, but this is the D&D game I've been waiting for most of my life. It is an actual choice-rich and system-layered game. Basically as much that as you could hope for on a screen. It is dense with the fucked up D&D lore. The world, to quote a cliche, feels lived in. It's full of engaging detail. You've got NPCs that are actually rewarding to interact with, both your companions and random ones out in the world. You are able to cheese the absolute shit out of every obstacle and event the game puts in your path. It's the kind of game, like I said, that you wait around for, where it's like, hey, you need to go fight that bandit camp. I'm like, okay, I could run in there and fight the bandits. I could stealth up to this cliff above them and throw a bunch of oil down and light them on fire. I could go 2 towns over and convince this guard that those bandits stole his chicken and the guards will kill the bandits for me. Or I could cast Sanctuary on a cat and have it run through the bandit camp and distract everybody while I pile explosives at one end of the bandit camp, have the cat run back and then set the explosives off with a fire arrow, killing everything in a 30-foot radius. It's the game that lets you do it. Infinitely replayable. I've already got 6 or 7 different party compositions and character archetypes I want to replay this game as. It's an achievement. They spent years building this giant, complicated thing, and the sons of bitches did it. It worked. It is actually such a good representation of what playing D&D is like at its best that some people were predicting, like, Hasbro might have cannibalized its VTT sales. They may not be getting subscriptions anymore, because why would you pay them to play D&D with other people when you can play it by yourself by buying Baldur's Gate 3?
It's really great to hear Baldur's Gate 3 feels like it's finally absolutely nailed the dream that was sold to us with Neverwinter Nights.
Yeah,
I would say with Baldur's Gate 1.
Sold to me.
Neverwinter Nights is more selling a flaming car and trying to convince you it's something else.
They sold me on the dream before I saw the car, okay? I didn't know there were flames.
Right?
Regrettably, the country this car was made in no longer exists.
Oh.
Also, name me one other video game in history that lets you fuck a Githyanki.
What?
Case closed.
Well, shit. Let's just give it Game of the Year and wrap.
All right, that means, to the surprise of few, my number 1 game of the year is Octopath Traveler 2.
Whoa,
God.
What?
Damn.
I saw it on Best Soundtrack, and I'm like, this motherfucker's putting it at the top, baby.
Yeah, when we didn't hear it again, I was like, man, did it just somehow not make the list? That seems insane.
Have you seen Oswald?
No. This is definitely, even playing it, I realized this is an example of something made for everyone can't really be for anyone. Playing this game felt like slipping on tailor-made clothing. This game just conforms to all the little bumps and pits in my brain. Every time something came up, I went, yes, that was the correct decision. Good job. I know that there are people out there, some of whom may be in this call, didn't enjoy some of the structural choices this game made, and I want all of those people to know that I love them, that I accept them. Their flaws are part of what make them beautiful as people. Unlike Octopath Traveler 2, which is a perfect game without spot or wrinkle.
We get it. You really like Oswald.
I really, really do.
And honestly, Aggro, I think the main thing I was thinking is like, man, Oswald sure has the most juice of any of these characters and their stories.
He does. It really seems like he and Hikari were like, pick one of these to be your main. Like, you pick Hikari if you want your standard fantasy story as a backbone, and you pick Oswald if you're cool.
They both did have like way more go on in the main like overall story than anyone else. It felt like. So I will always represent Ochette. That what an incredible story of just wandering in the countryside and getting food.
Ochette. I expected to have Ochette be one of those characters like, here's my weird gimmick. Cool, never going to use you. But then her kit turned out to be one of the most engaging and interesting in the game.
Yeah, her gimmick is I get free spells every turn that are really powerful if you tame the right monsters.
So I could summon a dude who also casts spells and hang out with the monsters.
Also, when my bar is filled, I just eviscerate everything.
It's so good. I mean, down to the menu design and layout, everything in this game was perfect to me. Like the first time I opened the menu and the first thing was, here's a list of all the recent items you got. Oh my God. This is a revolution in me not having to press 4 buttons.
Yeah, I'm glad that that's become more standard in RPGs. Like that Star Ocean 2 remake also has the new item you recently picked up screen.
Even down to the characters are all sort of separate except for the couple chapters they get where they have a combined story until the end of the game. I really enjoyed that because it gave, rather than them trying to interweave 8 characters constantly being in the story and having an enormous opportunity to fuck a few of them up and make them unlikable, I got to fill in all those gaps myself. Like I'm 9 years old playing with action figures and making up all the little, like all the little moments and interpersonal parts of the story that aren't part of like the big major plot. And I know that's just part of how I interact with the game. And there's a larger conversation about how much imagination work a game should expect you to do, which is a conversation about games as toys versus whatever else video games are. But putting that aside, it just so happens that, yes, as I've said, this one really hits my niche. It's why I have a hard time describing it as a game to people, because I'm like, okay, you know how sometimes you go outside and like it doesn't feel like a temperature? How it's just perfect and you feel like you're kind of melting into the air? Yeah, that's what playing this game feels like. It's just correct. I can't describe the contours of it. It's perfect.
Aggro getting saga pilled is such a weird timeline that lies ahead of us.
Yeah, I have to wonder if that will scratch the itch in the same way, because it is distinctly different.
Right, when it comes to mechanics and things and medication and whether or not it took it. Well, Aggro, if you can run us through your list again, starting at number 10.
All right, at number 10, it was Puzzling Places.
Woo!
Number 9 is Honkai Star Rail. Number 8, Resident Evil 4 Remake. Number 7, Walkabout Mini Golf VR. Number 6, The Talos Principle 2. Number 5, Moss Book 2. Number 4, The Legend of Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. Number 3, Alan Wake 2. It's like the third 2 on my list.
Yeah, you have a lot of 2s on here.
Got a lot of 2s. There's more coming. Number 2, Baldur's Gate 3. Number 1, Octopath Traveler 2.
Well, with all of our individual top 10 lists out of the way, we can now plug them into the Giga computer, which uses different numbers assigned to how much we roughly loved each of our entries. It will then combine all of our entries and then sort them according to that love, and then we will have to knife fight to determine the final top 10. So, stick around. Okay, I'm reading what the Giga computer spit out, and this is the ranking so far based on points alone. So it's a really good starting template, as it were. We're going to read it from the bottom up because that seems more suspenseful and interesting. The following only have 5 points each, meaning they ranked kind of low, and they were only on one list. They are Honkai Star Rail, Super Mario RPG Remake, Atelier Ryza 3, Sea of Stars, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Then with 6 points each, we have The Talos Principle 2, Silent Hope, Rusted Moss. 7 points each, we have Moss Book 2, The Legend of Heroes, Trails into Reverie, Street Fighter 6. Then 8 points for Star Ocean 2 Remake, 9 for Baldur's Gate 3, 10 for Octopath Traveler 2, 10 for Pistol Whip, 11 for Walkabout Mini Golf VR, 12 for Pizza Tower, 13 for Pseudo Regalia, 14 points for Puzzling Places, 14 points for Disgaea 7, 19 for Arbor Core 6, and 30 for both Alan Wake 2 and Resident Evil 4, with 32 points going to Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I think that's very funny that 2 games ostensibly in the same exact genre got the same exact amount of points.
Yeah.
Immaculate in different ways.
God, are they ever? These are 2 very different versions of notionally the same genre.
Man, I don't think the internet could have survived Initiation 4, but with Leon Kennedy.
Yeah, I really want to see a main character swap.
That's how you get Ava. You know that, right? You can get Third Impact from that. So, let's go ahead and just talk about the top 10 themselves. And I'm going to do the cruelest thing. You see this bottom half of this list? The numbers 11 through 24?
Oh, no.
Uh-huh.
No.
No! They're now adrift. And now we get to see exactly what would make the cut based on numbers. Based on the numbers, reading them in a rank order. Tears of the Kingdom would be first, Resident Evil 4 second, Alan Wake 2 third, Armor Core 6 fourth, Disgaea 7 fifth, Puzzling Places 6th, Pseudo Regalia 7th, Pizza Tower 8th, Walkabout Mini Golf VR 9th, and Pistol Whip 10th.
Yeah, I think we did have a brief conversation about how your number 1 with 10 points made the list, and my number 1 with 10
I'm on
points
Aggro's side.
didn't.
You need to stick Octopath Traveler up there to be in contention.
First off, okay, the separation is to show what is and is not on the top 10. I did not put Pistol Whip above Octopath Traveler. You can bless Google's sorting algorithm for not figuring out
alphabetical.
Right, I know. That's why I'm mind blown right now. They're both 10 points, and yours should be alphabetically first. So don't talk to me about it. I didn't do that. I did, however, set one of these 2 adrift in the sea, I suppose. If you're wondering what the suspenseful pause is about, I'm just drinking my drink, staring at this list, staring at those at the top of the lower list and wondering, what do we do? Years past, moves have been obvious, I feel. You know, we've done some completely rancid things that we knew were horrible, but we all also knew it was the correct choice.
Yeah, sometimes certain Resident Evil games need to die. I don't think that'll happen this time.
We patted a Resident Evil remake on the back and said, I would not rob you of your destiny, as we sent him into the radiation chamber to die. But this year is difficult. This is complicated. This is 24 games that are all great, one of which may inject you with an addictive disease via your smartphone aggro. That's okay. It's so far down. We're safe.
Yeah, I don't think we discussed moving that all the way up, unless.
Aggro, how good does it feel when you spend money on the game?
I haven't done it yet.
Yeah. That seems to be how it goes for everyone on these podcasts. It's like, how much money did you spend on Genshin? I don't know, $10? $20? Then again, it also comes across as the hot dog story. I'm like, okay, Kris, you said you woke up and spent $20 on Genshin. But now you say for lunch you're buying $20 more.
I mean, I had a single 10 pull that gave me 5-star Kafka and 4-star Pitch Dark Hook, so I don't know what I need to spend money on.
Man, good for you.
God, now I just remember all the times I saw posts when I was playing Genshin of like, oh, I got these 2 5-stars in one pull. It's like, what are you doing? How?
Yeah, if I
think I got 2 copies of Ayaka in one poll.
Yeah.
In the same poll.
And then our stream happened in order to get Bob his top tier Ayaka. That was like $80 or something. Chat
ludicrous
gave you.
amount. It was.
They gave Bob like $200.
I'm the one who had to do the taxes. I'm pretty sure it was between 80 and 100. It was disgusting, though, is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, oh, this feels terrible. But hey, you know, Bob gets his one perfect character for his game. Maybe that's worth it to the audience. To Bob. Bob, would you have spent $80
Absolutely
getting?
not.
Oh man. Oh, I already hate this.
Yeah.
Because obviously, I'm not saying that Octopath Traveler 2 and Baldur's Gate 3 shouldn't be on this top 10. Of course, I believe that as well. I want to hear other people take a swing. Because I know which direction I'll take it.
I don't. You guys are also, or you and Aggro are the ones who did Pizza Tower and Walkabout Mini Golf individually.
Pizza Tower was Chris and me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
These are two different pairs you're talking to.
My bad.
I would easily give up Pizza Tower before Pseudo Regalia, Pistol Whip, or Walkabout Mini Golf.
I will fight for Pizza Tower. I think that game deserves recognition. That game feels like it came from a much better timeline and somehow accidentally arrived here. But but I also believe Pseudo Regalia deserves credit.
It's a nightmare.
The thing, if Pseudo Regalia was the level of Pizza Tower, that would probably be Game of the year that came out, though. God.
Who knows? Maybe that's Penny's big breakaway this year.
Maybe. I would like that. Maybe we should start from like the top of the list and go down.
I mean, maybe, but then all the people who don't care about the lower numbers will just tune out. They'll be like, "Oh, their game of the year is this. Fuck it, I'm turning it off."
Yeah, that's true.
We tend to start from the top anyway. I feel like because usually there's like one thing that has the bulk of the points.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm gonna say it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna like saying it, but I'm gonna say it. Resident Evil 4 should be below Alan Wake 2.
That is. That's a really hard. That is an unbelievably difficult.
Yeah, this sucks
judgment to make.
Why did we come up here? This sucks too.
Yeah, this is also bad. Armor Core 6 is on all our lists, but isn't super high on any. Should we consider dropping that to get Octopass on here for Aggro?
1 second, gotta go vomit.
Look,
I know I gave it the highest number at 5.
right?
we always have the game that we decapitate.
It gotta be Armor Core.
I also feel uncertain about doing it to Armored Core.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was going to... Okay, I have a suggestion and a question.
Okay.
Because I didn't play Pseudo Regalia.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to ask you guys. I know that the movement is incredibly well-tuned. What there is really fun. Is there like a whole game there? And not just, this is a really cool thing and I want games to move in this direction, so I want this to be recognized. But it's really more of a tech demo.
It's like 5 or 6 hours long. It feels kind of... It's like a 3D Metroidvania. And it feels pretty substantial.
Yeah, you have like I think 5 or so separate areas that all interconnect well, and you have a final boss, but not really other bosses.
And you have a banging soundtrack.
Yes.
Okay.
As the person who put Pseudo Regalia highest on his list, I kind of see where Aggro's coming from because it's a little thin, some might say. The thing is, it kind of feels like that PS1 era where like you could get a Kingsfield or something else where you are sat in the environment and you can talk to things and that's how you get the story.
Mm-hmm.
And there is like a boss fight. but there are so many movement upgrades and other abilities that expand what you do as the game continues, and it being this gigantic interconnected castle with superb vibes and a great soundtrack. That's what makes it so good. Oh God, fuck this. Ah,
Yeah, I could live with it if we got rid of it, but I wouldn't like it. And I would prefer even Armored Core 6 going first, but I totally get that not being the case because that's on more lists.
So how would we feel if we woke up tomorrow and Disgaea 7 maybe wasn't where it is right now?
It's the first good one in over a decade. Maybe pushing 20 years.
I mean, Disgaea 3 came out early PS3 gen because it had that banging soundtrack. Does this one have the banging soundtrack? Does it have the CD you listen to on loop until it breaks in your car?
It has some decent songs. It has one song that sounded like the start of a Katamari song, and it made me double take every time it starts.
This is a nightmare.
I am...
Let's divert. Let's try the top again. Let's just talk the top 3, okay?
Yeah.
I kind of think Zelda takes this.
How do the other 2 feel?
I put it on the top of my list, so obviously I think that, but I'd be open to it dropping a little.
I'd be fine with it taking it, and honestly, it was higher on a bunch of other lists than I thought it was going to be this year. I sometimes had to remind myself it came out this year.
I couldn't forget because it was an entire month of my life.
Yeah, no, that was a really great experience outside of the combat. It was a great month.
And when I beat it, I was like, they should make a game that's nothing but shrine puzzles with these mechanics.
Yeah, that was the game that started blackpilling me on combat in video games. I had that moment a couple of times this year where I'm like, oh, this would have been so much better with no combat instead of bad combat. And then I played Alan Wake 2, and I'm like, hey, it's my good friend GOTY candidate game that maybe shouldn't have combat. I swear to God, the next Zelda game is going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Because you know the people who shipped this know the combat's the weak point.
And they know that they've already said that they're going to do something entirely different. They're done with this universe. So I'm like, yeah, I'm excited for whatever you want to do.
Same. What if we gave Armored Core 6 Game of the Year? Just throwing it out there.
I don't. Yeah, there's an ice worm. I can't do it.
Yeah, honestly, that is also kind of how I feel about it. Man, I should have put a Armored Core 6 parentheses just the Iceworm mission into the 7th Gen Game Award section.
Yes.
No, it's true. We even called it that in the middle of the force feedback. We got to be better this year about chronicling things.
Right, like actually filling out that list throughout the year.
Now, for the ADD listeners out there who may have forgotten, I'm going to read the top 10 again and then the first few of the bottom chunk. Currently, we have not moved a single fucking thing.
Right.
Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is sitting at number 1. Resident Evil 4 and Alan Wake 2 are at 2nd and 3rd, respectively. Armored Core 6 is 4th. Disgaea 7 is 5th. Puzzling Places is 6th. Pseudo Regalia is 7th. Pizza Tower is 8th. Walkabout Mini Golf VR is 9th. Pistol Whip is 10th. And then in 11th and 12th place is Octopath Traveler 2 and Baldur's Gate 3. Oh, and in 13th place is Star Ocean, the second story R.
I am okay with Pizza Tower getting knocked off. I'm okay with that. It has gotten endless rain-like praise from everybody who isn't a game journalist.
Yeah, isn't that fucking... I got so mad that it wasn't even at the Game Awards.
Yes, it was. It was in the debut indie category. It did not win.
That's fucked up. How could those Games Awards not let it win anyways? I'm removing it from the list. Yeah, for me, like, you know, I was very positive on Pizza Tower. It's a really great game. I put Pseudo Regalia drastically higher than that.
Now, here is my requirement for killing Pizza Tower. Octopath 2 should directly take its place.
I mean, you're not going to hear an argument from me.
Right? I feel like that makes sense.
Well, Baldur's Gate 3 is pretty good, but I'm already going to give it Game of the Year when the expansion comes out, and I treat that as it coming out again.
Get that cyberpunk treatment going.
Look at our Game of the Year for the next 3 years.
Like with Baldur's Gate 3, at a certain point we have to start recognizing that this is the GigaBoots Game of the Year top 10 and not an objective record of quality. And if I'm the only one who played that game and liked it.
Yeah, that would be weird because, like, yeah, they might like it. They've not touched it for a second.
I'm gonna go ahead and just do what Kris said. I'm gonna take this, move it down there. And then we're gonna take Octopath, move it up here. I already want to, even though more changes may come, want to swap Pistol Whip and Walkabout Mini Golf.
I'm in favor of that.
I haven't played either of them, so do as you please.
I'm ambivalent.
Mm.
As much as I do love Pistol Whip, it didn't make my list.
Fair enough.
Because, like, I love the shit out of it. It's so fucking cool. At the end of the day, I had this block of VR games, and I had to ask myself, if one of them disappeared tomorrow, which ones would make me the most sad? Is there anything else on the bottom list that anyone else
wants the top?
Yeah, to fight for a spot for. I mean, apart from Pizza Tower.
Nah, for me to really go to pull out start the blood war over something only I played, it has to suck and fuck me, basically. Like, I think the only time I really threw in hard for that was Disco Elysium in the very first year, because that game seems like it came from another planet.
Yeah, no, that will always be remembered in the halls of fame. I remember listening to that at work. Oh my God, he's fucking doing it.
Here's my problem.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a game down there for me to try to champion that hard, it is Silent Hope, but I'm the only person who had it on any list, thus why it's down there and why many of those are down there.
Believe me, I'm staring at Moss Book 2 going, if Dan had gotten through it, this would be different.
That's honestly, Kris probably should be thinking the same thing about Star Ocean 2. I wonder why I stress out so much about Game of the Year.
Dan, I think you and I need to have a pre-conversation because I think at a certain point, they're going to be coming for Puzzling Places.
Yeah.
And we may need to prepare ourselves for a reality.
I'm gonna let Pseudo Regalia drop off before I let Puzzling Places drop off. Like, I love Pseudo Regalia, don't get me wrong. Puzzling Places is my number 2. It was my number 1 for a very long time. I feel very strongly about the experience Puzzling Places offers and how unlike anything else it is and how profound it is. Which is so bizarre because once again, when you describe it, it's like it's a VR jigsaw. Maybe he did acid. But there's just something about it that is just amazing. And honestly, that sort of like transcendental vibes that carry a thing beyond even its excellent core is why Pseudo Regalia is up here for me too. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, which is like from my perspective, because I'm the one who just got his baby in the lifeboat. I'm looking at how we get Pizza Tower back in, because I've heard everyone talk about this game all year and I believe the hype.
And it's true. The hype is real. Here's my problem. Most of the bottom of this list is me.
I'm actually looking at Disgaea 7 and Pseudo Regalia.
No.
Pseudo regalia. I'm fine with either Pizza Tower or pseudo regalia being there. One of them has to be there.
Yeah, I like they are the closest in vibe, I think, of super movement games.
I'm starting to go insane.
Yeah, I'm okay with Disgaea 7 lowering, but not going off the list. Like,
What are we talking about bringing up at the moment?
Aggro wants to get Pizza Tower back on because the accreditation is, so strong.
I'm just feeling that. out.
We always decapitate some game. Maybe Pizza Tower is what got decapitated this time. It would fit Pepino's luck.
I wanted to do a gut check against a couple of those titles that I wasn't 100% sure on the weight ratio for.
Yeah, I don't think there's
I don't think I'm going to be able to get Street Fighter 6 in. Like, nobody else put it on the list, and
I played and enjoyed it.
right.
My problem
Yeah, that's also how I feel, yeah.
My problem is that as I look at this list, okay, the only moment where I really just start to feel a disconnect from its place and being on this top chunk is Disgaea 7. I was there with Aggro. That's my problem, because even for Octopath Traveler 2, you can be blind and see how cool that is.
Mm-hmm.
So I absolutely see it being there.
But Disgaea 7 got my parents back together. Like, it has that power.
Like, every time a chapter ends and it's parodying a different anime, I'm clapping the whole time.
Yeah, it's true. And every time characters are talking, I'm clapping because they look really cool and are saying funny things. It's really funny when somebody hugs Fuji and he immediately starts vomiting blood because he has cancer that flares up whenever anybody's nice to him.
Okay. One moment. Okay, I have a thought.
Mm-hmm.
Aggro, how much would you like it if Octopath... Now, just answer this question, divested of any connotation it may carry or what bargain it may cost. How would you like it if Octopath Traveler 2 went up one slot?
That's about as much as I'd be ready to hope for.
So what if we drop Pseudo Regalia one slot, bring up Octopath Traveler to, let's see, the slot above Pseudo Regalia. And if you just think about it as it moved above Pseudo Regalia, it won't bug you when I put Pistol Whip above Octopath Traveler 2. Because relative to Pseudo Regalia...
I would be fine with Disgaea 7 going down. Let me be very clear. I would be completely fine with that. I'd even be fine with it going down to 10 as long as it was still on the list.
Right.
I think that's why it's drawing so much fire, is it's sitting up there.
We'll put it down there for now. And we'll just look at this again with fresh eyes of Disgaea 7th now being at the bottom.
I'm starting to get on board Alan Wake 2 being above RE4 because RE4 doesn't refill my fucking ammo when I upgrade the capacity on my weapon.
Yeah, my complication here is that viewed as a thing that should be cherished, Alan Wake 2 hits really high for me. My problem, though, is that the combat sucks, whereas Resident Evil 4, complete counterpoint to that, where it's like, hey, Dan, remember the scene in RE4 Remake? And I'm like, probably not. There's probably a lot of scenes that just glance off of me, but playing it feels great, and I loved it, and I did it 4 times in a row, and I look forward to the next time I do it, too.
I do. They are polar opposites in that regard, but on the other hand, only one of those 2 games won our coolest thing in a game category.
Right. Right.
Yeah. If it goes above, absolutely, it's because of Initiation 4.
Right. Like I'd be in favor of it, but I'm on record as being chemically compromised by it. So
yeah, and it fixed Aggro's brain.
Right.
That's an
Okay.
He's going to live so much a richer life now.
Thank you, Sam Lake.
and then like, thank you, Sam Lake. You changed all our lives. And he just makes the face and disappears into the sunset.
And then we clap as he disappears into the clouds. Like he's like
he
a mythical.
fades out. And you're like, that's not a thing people should be able to do. What the fuck?
It's fucking Mufasa, but it's Sam Lake making the face.
Yeah.
Here was the Goku in the cloud saluting.
No, that's what Alan Wake's doing, but he's still screaming.
So with the way things sit now, Dan,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say a thing to you, and it doesn't have to lead to action.
There's
I just
a
wanna
chance
put it out
you're
there.
thinking the same thing I am. Shoot.
Ooh, I would personally put Walkabout above Puzzling Places.
Oh, that was unexpected. One moment.
No, I knew you weren't going to like that.
One moment. One
Mhm.
moment.
I haven't played any VR games, but looking at them and listening to them, like Walkabout and Puzzling Places are definitely the two that seemed the most killer app.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 VR games here: Puzzling Places, Walkabout, and Pistol Whip, right?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Those literally are like the killer apps for VR. There's a
Yeah,
reason the
that's-
others fell away. Like, I didn't even talk about Until You Fall, which is a really great experience and a great game, but this is 2023. Okay, one moment.
It's someone who played a minor amount of all these VR games.
Uh-huh.
I like Puzzling Places a lot more than Walkabout Mini Golf. I enjoyed Walkabout Mini Golf ball locating more than any of the actual golfing. And then Pistol Whip was way better than either. But I know that's very
No, that's
limited.
truth. You look at my fucking list. That is literally, you have described my list, but with words. That's why I'm like, I want to move Pistol Whip up.
Mm-hmm.
Aggro wants to bring Walkabout Mini Golf up. The only lamb I see to sacrifice is Armored Core 6 or Pseudo Regalia, and both make me feel like I'm pissing blood.
If you want to swap Walkabout and Pistol Whip, that is something I'd be okay with. Like, I still really love Pistol Whip. It's just not the top of my personal list, but I get it, and I'd be fine.
Let me do that for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because we don't state this as like a rule, but generally speaking, we try to keep everyone's 10s on the list, which is why Octopath needed to get on immediately.
Right. It's important.
And them placing decently is also important. But like, the reason this isn't a rule, some years someone's gonna just put dog shit as their number one. And everyone else is gonna have to shout them down.
I was able to get Bayonetta 3 on the top 10 lists barely last year.
You sure were.
Oh man,
Barely.
ignoble moments in GigaBoots podcast network history.
Try to imagine how Bayonetta 3 would have done this year.
Oh my god.
Man, if they had released that game this year, I don't think anybody would have been as nice to it as we were. Been like, what the fuck?
What the
Look
fuck
at the shit around you. Can you read the fucking room?
Jesus Christ, man. The reason you're supposed to wear a button-up shirt is you're supposed to button it up, asshole. You smell like liquor.
Maybe on the Switch too, it'll get an update and not be so bizarrely hollow in so many ways visually.
It sure would be cool if it just instantly ran better on the Switch too. I think I'd give it another playthrough.
Yeah.
And skip every cutscene. Okay, let me look at this. I know what my truth is. My truth is that Armored Core 6 goes at 9th place.
I'm surprisingly okay with that.
Yeah. The ice worm does a lot to like motivate you.
honestly, like it's like that boss that's obviously Cubile is so cool and flossing on these guys is so ice worm like
I got brick-walled by the pre-patch Sea Spider, so I didn't want to say anything.
yeah, Sea Spider also sucks, honestly.
I never got around to like, oh, they fixed that boss? I need to finish that game.
I'm trying to remember. Sea Spider was after you escaped the facility, and no, that's okay. Wow, Sea Spider.
Sea Spider is the thing that you have to fight to launch yourself to the Arctic.
Yeah, I actually thought
Yeah.
Sea Spider was easier than the guy you have to fight on the way out of the facility after you cause the event and fuse with the AI. when you get AI brain.
Oh, that guy, the
Yeah.
boss of the first act.
Yeah, I feel like
He
that
is
guy's
easier.
a pain in the ass compared to Sea Spider.
That guy is much harder, but I feel like Sea Spider just sucks. I also feel that way about the Cleaner. The Cleaner also just sucks.
Yeah, the cleaner just sucks. Like, he's not even hard. He's just really annoying.
He's like a Dark Souls boss.
He's actually not. Most Dark Souls bosses are like Cubile, where it's like, I move really fast and have really telegraphed attacks where I do the same thing, and I have a command grab that doesn't work exactly right.
It works exactly right in his favor all the time.
It's working perfectly. So everyone's pretty okay with me moving Armor Core 6 down to 9th, at very least for now, so we could look at it and think about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you're the one with the highest place on the list. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like the thing. As a congregate list, I feel like it needs to go lower. I'm a core part of why it placed as well as it did.
Mm-hmm.
And even I'm like, dude, look how low Pistol Whip is. Armor Core 6 is really great. It's not perfect. A lot of these experiences we have here are profoundly important or literally perfect.
Yeah, like the top of the list is just stuffed. Like even, especially this year, I'm looking at the bottom like, 10th place, that's not. And then I look at the rest of the list that's not making it like, wow, that's a pile of beautiful corpses you're still sitting on.
Yeah. For example, Pizza Tower. Hey, Kris. God damn it. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to argue up Pizza Tower down Disguise 7.
No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, if he's not going to go for it, I don't think there's hope.
Damn it.
Did we tell you about the mechanic where you get to become a gigantic monster like a Godzilla? Like any character on the map would be like, what if they were huge?
That is pretty funny.
This is real funny.
What if I told you that there's a little girl who there's like a bouncy phantom thief named C4, and she gets a gun that when her meter fills up, the gun gets infinite range, and you can attack any unit that's directly in one of the 4 cardinal directions from her because the range is infinite. So just imagine you position a unit, you position her, and then all the way across the map, you can hit the boss.
Okay, I have a completely rigid set of rules and instructions, and you all get to either approve or disapprove.
Okay.
All right.
I hate this. No, don't do it. Don't. No. Okay. Nope. Backing down. Backing down.
Okay.
Yeah, that wouldn't have gone well.
We'd be like, yes, and you'd be like, no.
Yeah, actually, I carried out how I would feel about it. That I imagined myself drinking myself to sleep, going, "Why did I do that?"
So Dan, I'd like you to come over to this side of the campfire,
Yeah.
away from the other survivors,
What's up?
and have a selfish conversation with me. What if,
Uh-huh.
in no particular order,
Yeah,
both of our children went above pseudo-regalia?
I would be for that. But 100%, because I love pseudo-regalia. Pseudo-regalia is important. Pistol Whip is amazing. And I'm trusting you, Aggro, with your sole nomination of Octopath Traveler 2, that it is also immaculate.
It's just, as long as you never listen to Bob about anything other than the soundtrack.
I think we should do that. Hey guys, Aggro and I were just talking over there. But you know, that has nothing to do with this. We were talking about how we like to grind our coffee, because we're both coffee guys and we do like the AeroPress. Anyways, I have a crazy idea out of nowhere. What if Pseudo Regalia went down 2 slots and then Pistol Whip and Octopath went up a slot?
I could live with that. I was worried that he was going to, like, want to move Walkabout Mini Golf above it. I was like, this seems insane.
Yeah, I guess I can live with that.
Because I still enjoyed Octopath. Like, it's my 11th place. which doesn't sound great, but man, this year.
Yeah,
But
this
it-
year's
yeah,
so rough.
2023.
Yeah, it probably would have knocked Super Mario RPG remake off mine if I had beaten it, if I'd finished it.
Okay, let's talk. Octopath Traveler 2 is not one of a kind. It is a sequel. You know what is Pistol Whip, the forever game, the perfect VR shooter.
But
Yeah.
Octopath has an amazing, immaculate soundtrack, and Pistol Whip has licensed music, which has no soul.
Octopath Traveler 1's hardly a video game. We don't even need to worry about
That's true. From what I have
saves a
seen, that
beat.
indeed seems to be true.
Pretty much.
It also didn't ship on PlayStation, so it's not real.
Jesus. Could you? Oh man. I would love if we had just decided at the beginning of this we will just be
only
absolutely
Sony game.
right, just the
Holy
most obnoxious Sony Pony podcast possible. That would be such a funny bit.
Sorry, Pseudo Regalia. You didn't make the cut.
This game's pretty great, but its use of adaptive triggers is pretty bad. I'm gonna dock it a point. Start acting like that psychopath in the restaurant who takes dollar bills off the table.
Jesus.
I put my tip on the table. Armored Core 6 brings me the ice worm boss. I take half the tip and put it back in my pocket.
Oh, damn it. I've remembered that bit my whole life. No idea what it's from.
That's some dude on Twitter just thought that was a really good.
I think that's just a thing that has been in like Psycho Investor. Here's how I made my money books forever.
probably.
I saw that on TV.
Yeah, that was in a movie like a long time ago, and I have no idea
It's
what
funny
it was.
because while the dude from American Psycho is a psychopath, even he wouldn't do that. This looks basically there. I feel like the only thing I would do is not gonna happen.
Speak your truth, Dan. This is the only place where you can just say it. It's not what I meant.
That's the new slogan. I'm not sure about the slogan, man. I would. I'm just gonna say it, just to have it on the record. I would drop this guy 7 and bring up Silent Hope, but that ain't happening.
Yeah, you would do that.
I would do that. I would also
The
bring up
horrible
Pizza
thing is,
Tower, but
I believe you. If I had touched it, that might be the case. I'm also sitting here like I'd drop half the shit on this list and bring up Trails into Reverie on credit.
I'm gonna say something you probably won't like.
okay.
What if this guy 7 and Armor Core 6 switch?
I
See-
vote for that.
See, I was okay. So
One of these doesn't have an ice worm.
God damn it. You know that thing a moment ago where I said, don't say that? That would be horrible. Maybe that was a part of that process I didn't want to give up. Ah, you bastards. Fine. Fine. I hate Game of the Year. Let's see what this looks like. What are we doing? How do we feel? But Aggro, real quick.
Yeah,
I just want to have a conversation with you and you alone. Nobody else. Okay.
understandable. We are like a chunk in the middle of this list, you and I.
We both agree that Bob would have enjoyed Walkabout Mini Golf VR if not for a skill issue, right?
Oh my God. Like I'm not going to disagree with you. I just don't want to agree with you out loud.
I'm afraid I have to like put my arm out in front of Sybil and protect her from people coming at her with golf clubs.
I have spent a significant chunk of this last section here thinking about Sybil moving about various walkabout stages, and it's a game I super want now.
How often do you think about Sybil moving about?
Hey, I don't need to hear this bit from you.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you shouldn't be. This is some real. I have to attack so nobody looks at me.
Look, I'm just glad we got a new genre of furry design that isn't I too have made Sonic the Hedgehog. Because as much as I love Klonoa, look at it. Klonoa is absolutely Sonic Adventure-esque. Like, it is that same sort of sect. And admittedly, it does beat out Sonic Adventure, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, Klonoa.
Release-wise.
Yeah.
It was like, are you saying Klonoa is cooler than Sonic
Klonoa's
Adventure
cooler
Sonic?
than Sonic. Come at me, nerds.
He does have a Pac-Man hat.
He does. And also Kingdom Hearts vibes, which is very funny because he also predates that significantly. Klonoa is a fucking tastemaker.
Sonic can't even dress himself. Come on.
Sonic can't even dress himself. Is that why?
I feel like the patient zero of this regard is The Wonderful World of Puss in Boots, back from the 70s.
But even he was short. He was a tiny guy.
As for this list, I don't know how it moves anymore. I just get to be angry, notionally, that Pizza Tower and Baldur's Gate 3 are not on this list.
Well, you know, Dan.
Uh-huh.
There's a game that we could move Pizza Tower up one.
I don't think you're right when you say that.
I mean, we have to carry on the tradition of a game that everybody liked and put on their list. Having it being killed at the finish line.
Holy shit! How bad was that ice work?
Pretty bad. They make you do it 3 times.
Come on, man. This Armor Core 6 is important for me. This Armor Core is not dead anymore. It's been like 10 years, man.
I will have to say side with Armor Core because I enjoyed Pizza Tower. I did, but I did like Armor Core more.
I mean, so did I put it higher? I think I put it higher than Pizza Tower.
You put Pizza Tower above Armor Core 6. You're the only person that did.
Oh, okay.
Jesus Christ.
I see where you're coming from, though. I do.
The real pain for me, okay? The real pain for me is that Baldur's Gate 3 isn't even on this list. That's just fucked up. Like, here's my thing. I love every single thing said about Baldur's Gate 3. I have not heard one story about Baldur's Gate 3 that doesn't make me chuckle, either because the player's save was deleted or but because of a delightful thing in the game. The problem is I have never once enjoyed a game in that specific genre, that hyper-specific CRPG sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't play it because I was certain I would play it and not enjoy it mechanically.
Yeah. I mean, like, kind of same. Like, I picked up Divinity 2 and bounced off it. I'm like, if the game's this hard to engage with, I don't want to play it.
Yeah, if they released it physically, I probably would have bought it and then traded it in if I just hated it.
Right. And that's the thing. If they released it physically, we probably would have, like, both you and I would have played it.
Right. One of us would have broke it and then tried it.
Right. We were already considering crazy plans of borrowing Spiff's PS5, but the problem was it was too late in the year already for such a large RPG.
Right.
Yeah, that's also what happened to me. I'm like, well, there's no way. It's too big.
Fucking damn it. I also forgot to apologize to Dragon Quest Monsters!
God, that released last year. I saw the
That released in December.
Yeah, I saw the demo. Every time I put my Switch, I see it. I'm like, oh, right. That was a thing. I probably should have. Oh, well, it's gone.
On a different timeline where my Switch didn't die exactly when the demo came out, I may have played the demo and then prioritized playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
Did that come out on PC or just Switch?
Just Switch.
Well, you'll have another chance if they ever put it on anything else.
Which they have a history of doing.
They do.
Which they have a history of doing. So it will get its time to shine, which is also kind of how I feel about Baldur's Gate 3. I will treat the expansion as a new game.
You're like, it's really great. They stuck this 90-hour RPG at the beginning of this brand new video game.
It's honestly why I didn't play the Cyberpunk DLC. I'm like, no, if I play it and I really like it, my brain's going to go, you can just fudge that rule and get it in.
I think we explicitly...
I cheated for this game once already.
Right, exactly.
Oh,
what
that's
the fuck?
right. The big refresh did come out last year.
Anyways, look forward to Pistol Whip next year again. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. All of that is rough. It's rough that Moss Book 2's down there.
Mm-hmm.
It's rough that Baldur's Gate 3's down there. It's rough that Silent Hope's down there.
So, okay. In the interests of saying everything before we finalize this list, I have gotten a lot farther with my baby than I really expected to.
Yeah. Some might say one slot too high.
Which is where I'm leaning here. In my brain, I'm like, I could talk to Dan about maybe doing that Watusi move again, where both of our number ones go up a slot. But if I like move a small stone, the entire wall of rubble might come down.
This is fucked up.
I haven't even played Puzzling Places, but I know that when I get a VR headset, the first game I'm going to play on it is Puzzling Places.
Hell
no
yeah.
doubt.
Absolutely.
And that may indeed be the only game I play on it as it consumes me and I do every thing in it. So I'm kind of looking at this list like maybe everything is in exactly the right space, except no, everything's fine.
No, wait, finish what you were going to say. I want to go back up.
I was actually going to argue the opposite before I realized, no, it's already that way.
I mean, if you wanted to go up a slot, we could just move Walkabout Mini Golf down to 10 and move this guy in Armor Core 6 up to 8 and 9.
One moment. I'm thinking. Oh, this is so hard. Ladies and gentlemen, you probably fucking sit there and go, apples and oranges comparisons. You don't understand. The VR is a different fucking fruit you've never eaten before. This is like all genres of games are apples and oranges, and it's difficult. VR is a fundamentally different moment and experience, especially when it's bad. You get angrier. A bad VR game feels like you trapped yourself in a horrible conversation with a moron. I can't. Hey, I
What's
hate
up?
this.
Yeah,
Nothing feels like it can move at all anymore.
it does feel pretty gridlocked here.
It's just like we're so far apart on these lists this year that there's really so little bargaining room. Like, you want to move something to the bottom? What are you going to give me for it? Like, well, I don't think we're going to dislodge Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, just kill that one.
The weird thing is, I swear in years past, we've ended up with even more different games on this list. Like, I swear we've gotten up to 30 games almost, if not 29 or 30. But the thing is, this year's strong.
Yeah, they're strong games, and also there's that whole other level of the VR games where me and Kris have not really experienced them at all. Like,
Yeah.
That really pulls us apart here.
And the part of this that's like, none of these VR games, like Walkabout Mini Golf is the one I've put the least time into. Puzzling Places and Pistol Whip, I put 40 hours into each, which is insane for a VR game. Christ. Yeah, if I didn't feel so strongly about those, maybe I'd be pushing Silent Hope up. That would be nice. That was such a great game. Games like that make it great to be a gamer. I guess you could say that about all these, right?
right?
Right? Like, I'm just envisioning another year, a different release schedule, where I'm like, no, come on, guys, we can drop that and put Talos Principle 2 up there. You've got to believe me.
Who anticipated my apology segment just being like, I will now list Aggro's list.
I kind of expected that.
It's okay. This year I'm going to get out ahead of the giant games. I'm just going to go straight from this GOTY grind into Like a Dragon 8. Why wouldn't I just jump right into a 100-hour RPG after finally being freed from the GOTY grind?
You could jump into the Prince of Persia.
Yeah, but there's no rush on that. It's only 8 hours. Getting out ahead of that doesn't help you too much.
Yeah, I'm convinced that Yakuza 8 will drop in price fairly quickly. I'll be able to pick it up by summer at like 35 or something.
Yeah, that's
the
also
thing.
why even I, who owns every single one they've released physically, I'm like, I can wait till like May.
Yeah, but that's the thing. We're not even talking about money saved, because all of these I could wait on for money saved. We're talking about it is 100-hour RPG, and I cannot let this happen again. Hey, you know what was 100-hour RPG that came out in February last year? Aggro, do you have any idea? I bet you do.
Nothing comes to mind, really.
Starfield.
Well, no, the game really only starts in New Game Plus 10, so.
I'm looking at this list and I don't see much else that should move.
Right. That's my thing. I keep looking at it time and time again. I think about Pseudo Regalia going down. My blood boils. I think about Pistol Whip going above Octopath Traveler 2. I see 3 people stabbing me with swords. I think about Puzzling Places dropping below Octopath Traveler 2 and Pistol Whip, and it just feels weird.
That does feel weird.
Look, I can feel my wax wings melting at the thought.
Yeah. I don't even think... I think 5 is where I got Disco Elysium up to, and I think that's a pretty strong position for something that was only on one list.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I could see, like, just full-on swap Pistol Whip and Puzzling Places. I could see that happening, but I don't think that's even, like, that Pistol Whip's only on your list, too, so I don't even know.
That's the thing.
That does feel wrong.
That's what's so complicated about this moment right here.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Puzzling Places is on both Aggro and my list, and we both, of course, stuck them beneath our games of the year.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we also both admit the strength of Puzzling Places as a nominee, like the Predator handshake.
Right, you just have to do that over it.
And the other hand's holding a knife we're not going to stab each other with in order to get our thing above each other as it goes up, which will then become the conversation. Because here's the thing, as Kris was saying, if he finished Octopath, that could have been his number 10. Pistol Whip isn't your number 10, Bob.
No.
I mean, it was like my number 11. So Dan, think about this.
Mm-hmm.
If Octopath doesn't move and you wanted to switch Pistol Whip and Puzzling Places, I'd be fine with that.
Worth noting to the people who've already forgotten, Puzzling Places is my number 2. It is only one slot behind Pistol Whip, so that's why this is so complicated for me.
Because, like, I know what kind of a game Pistol Whip is, and I completely understand how deep that spike got driven in your brain.
I am literally in the top leaderboard for PlayStation. It's a lot. Bob, what do you think about that exchange?
I think that makes sense, but again, I'd hardly played these, and I did enjoy Puzzling Places, but like I say, I like Pistol Whip more.
Kris, do you have a thought on that exchange?
No, I don't think so.
I'm gonna do it and just look at it and see how I feel.
Yeah.
One moment.
I've been staring at the word whip so long it looks weird now.
It's Pistol for me.
Okay, I'm gonna look away from that for a second. I think this is it.
Yeah, it's really hard to imagine these moving.
Every time I try to imagine it moving, I also hear the Riddler scream. Because the moving is bad and more like an avalanche and horrible things happen.
Yeah, anytime that we talk about removing Armor Core 6, you have a reaction.
Yeah, actually. And I know that's like one of the only things that's left to happen.
Uh-huh.
It's like, okay, what if we chopped one of Dan's favorite franchises finally coming back from the dead with the slickest feeling version to put on Baldur's Gate 3? And I just scream in my head. Because it's rough. It's real rough. It's real rough.
You need to understand, Jury, she has these pajamas.
I was unaware. One moment. What color are they? You're like, she has pajamas, and I'm like, I'm not interested. And you're like, they're Sybil pajamas, and I'm like, one moment, that might be the funniest goddamn thing I've ever heard. God,
The Potters might have done it.
It's like the Blanca thing where they have the giant plush Blanca skin or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that. It just looks terrible.
Jesus.
You do a mod trade where Jerry gets Sybil themed pajamas and Sybil gets Jerry's feet.
No, I'm not ready for that trade-off on the game of the year.
I have been impressed by how well Pseudo Regalia did, because like listening about the game all year, it's like, oh yeah, Pseudo Regalia, that's really neat. And then I walked in this room and it's like, I've had Pseudo Regalia for a day and a half, and if anything happened to it, I'd kill everyone here and then myself.
You're like, oh yeah, it seems like you two had fun at the mall, and we're like, yeah, I guess. Then we go upstairs, and then the reality is The Last of Us, where we're trekking across the country with Sybil. You thought I'd let you do this alone?
I think they sold like 2,000 of those plushes or something insane.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Did that go off sale?
I don't think so. I think it's still going. I think it got a few days.
Okay, thank God.
I have to check right now.
Yeah, me too. I'm actually like, oh shit, oh no. Oh, this is not how this was supposed to go. Yeah, I have 1 hour and 14 minutes, or 1 day and 14 hours.
Okay, it was like, what?
Anyways, we're opening the P.O. box next week. Doesn't matter. By the time you hear this, they're no longer on sale. Yeah, they sold 3,300. Wow. Jesus Christ. That's nuts. Where's our Disgaea 7 plushie?
I'm sure there is one.
Yeah, they did have one like the collector's edition.
It's just for a Jeep.
No, it's not for a G. Jesus.
Why is it die-cast aluminum?
There are actually several. There's a Puralika one, and there's a Fuji one.
Oh.
Nice.
Are they as good as the Sybil plush?
No.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
They also cost more money.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, they're $37 each.
Oh, that's so much.
If that Endless Monday artist does another plush, I will buy it unless
Oh, yeah. No.
unless it is Penny.
I'd buy Penny. I wouldn't buy Blythe.
I'd buy
Blythe would grow good.
I'd buy anyone but Blythe.
They already did a Blythe one, so we don't need to worry.
I was so upset.
They need to do another Sky one.
The sale on the plush ended 2 days after before I beat the game.
Uh-huh.
So the moment I realized I really wanted it, it was gone, and I was like, no. Anyways, I think this is it, and I know that sucks because I looked down at this 14-game-long list of really great games.
Uh-huh.
And in a different year, they would have fucking busted up the joint. I'm willing to... One moment. I can't even... I gotta look again just to...
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to lock it in.
Then I'll also put my vote to lock it in.
Yeah, this looks right.
I think we did it, even though this list is just weird looking.
It's fucking bizarre.
Like when you look at the top three, it's like, oh yeah, that'd be in a magazine, and then you hit the rest of this list, like, who the fuck are these people?
And that's really what we shoot for.
Yeah, that's how it feels, you know? We spend the categories talking about big, important games like Final Fantasy 16 and Forspoken, and then we also spend an equal amount of time talking about Endless Monday Dreams and Deadlines. Okay, that's it. I'm going to read the people who didn't make it, who should be honored. We should honor the dead.
Yeah.
For the top of the stack down, we have Pizza Tower, Baldur's Gate 3, Star Ocean The Second Story R, Street Fighter 6, The Legend of Heroes, Trails into Reverie, Moss Book 2, Rusted Moss, Silent Hope, The Talos Principle 2, Star Wars Jedi, Survivor, Sea of Stars, Atelier Ryza 3, Super Mario RPG Remake, and Honkai Star Rail. And our top 10 games of the year, read from 10 to 1, is... I'm going to read it from 1 to 10. I changed my mind. The number 1 game of the year from the GigaBoots Podcast Network is The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Second place is Alan Wake 2. In third place, Resident Evil 4 Remake. 4th place, Pistol Whip. 5th place, Octopath Traveler 2. 6th place, Puzzling Places. 7th place, Pseudo Regalia. 8th place, Walkabout Mini Golf VR. 9th place, Disgaea 7. And 10th place, just barely hanging in there, Armored Core 6. And that does it. We're free. Oh, that's what it will remain for the rest of time. I think these are really great games. I did not anticipate the year that would be so great in gaming that it stressed the absolute mother-loving shit out of me trying to grind and prepare a list for Game of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
It has never been this bad before because it is so good.
That's even with a few high-profile titles that should have been great, just tanking.
Yeah.
Well, luckily, I think this year the high-profile titles that should be good would probably be good. Oh God, why did I say that?
Yeah, I was like, don't say that.
Why did I say that?
At least there aren't that many announced.
Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It formats your PS5. The executive producers for this GigaBoots video are Esme, Ely Broyles, Spaceman Spiff, Red Blaze 27, Brendan O'Sullivan, A Reminder for Symphony of War, Cooper Tank, Very Best Plot, Iconic Bane, and Rado. Thank you very much to our executive producers. And also these guys. If you want to become an executive producer or normal patron, head on over to patreon.com/gigaboots today.